Well, hello everybody. Let me get this out of the way, hopefully. Hello everyone. I was going to do this as a recording, and then I decided it'd be easier just to do it as a live stream. I don't know how long this is going to be. This could go a couple hours. I don't know for sure. I didn't put it in the title, but I do plan to play a sample game, a slow playthrough game at the end of all my spiel here. So this could go on for 2 hours. I don't know. But anyway, if you saw a video I did last week, or beginning part of last week, I guess it was, where I got in the mail. Oh, hello, replay. Well, what I'm about to put here is going to be boring to you probably but maybe if I miss something or forget to include something, it's nice to have an extra set of eyes on there. I mean, I probably should have done some sort of formal notes or something, but this is strictly off the cuff. I'm doing this all strictly off the cuff, just heartfelt, what I think about the game, what I like about the game. uh Ooh, man, that's a pretty cold temperature there. All right, so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to basically take an x-ray to this game and not only explain about the game, but how, you know the why behind the what, if that makes any sense. So first thing I'm going to do before I unbox, and it's not really an unboxing because I've had this thing open for a long time, but I emptied it except for what you get when you buy the game. So it's kind of like a pseudo unboxing if you just buy the game separately. But I'm gonna put this aside just for a second because I'm actually on their website. Whoops, let me bring it up on my phone here. I'm actually on their website, History Maker Baseball, and I'm going to go down and just use their own words and tell you what they did here. Now I know it's kind of hard. Let me get this glare off of here. Maybe very hard to see. I don't know how well this is going to pick up. Let me see if these overhead lights will do something to help me. I think the glare is going to be too much. Well, there, maybe that's better there if I can get an angle on it. Can I do an angle? There we go. How's that? Not the best, but it's there. It says we chose the name History Maker Baseball because it captures what this game is all about. And it says, I'll skip a couple lines down. It says we didn't want to reinvent the wheel. So instead, I'm right here. So instead, we focused on a design of the game that offers a number of dimensions of big league baseball that other games don't attempt to capture. That's in the bold here. And a premise that is somewhat different than purely stat driven. Um, every professional sports campaign contains an element of surprise. A baseball season always looks somewhat different in the rearview mirror at World Series time than it did on opening day. External factors and intangibles affect player and team performance in a way that are unforeseen, uncontrollable, and often a large degree random. It's logical to assume that if you were able to go back in time to opening day and play the same season with the same players and teams, you would necessarily get different results. Most players and teams would perform about the same in both seasons, but some would perform differently, either adversely or fortuitously affected by circumstances. Where the baseball board game of the day looks through the rearview mirror, History Maker Baseball is designed to give you the opening day perspective. History Maker Baseball will allow for the collusion of intangibles, which could potentially produce a result somewhat modified from what actually happened or what will happen in real life. So basically, what they're talking about is we're not looking back at a previous season. We're looking at this from opening day, and basically it's a storytelling game. You're telling your own story is what you're doing with that. All right, so it says first, History Maker Baseball incorporates the intangibles, chemistry, hot and cold streaks, a player's experience, and so on. It says down here, History Maker Baseball expands the scope of the game to include events outside the innings, which rightly affect what happens during the game. The pitching coach wants to talk to you privately about yesterday's starter. Here's the trainer with an injury report. So, like I said, it adds to the storytelling of what's going on. It says third, offers a universe of managerial choices that include baseball strategy, and at the same time supersedes expanding into the realm of baseball psychology. dugout chatter, coaching tips, walking to the mound to chat with the pitcher, arguing with the umpire, all have a place in real baseball, and all have a place in History Maker baseball. Let's see. See if there's anything else. I don't want to read the whole thing. I want to kind of hit the highlights here of what they're talking about. All right, it says, finally, there are several other interesting aspects to the game that sets it apart as a unique baseball experience. For example, umpires are rated with their own set of defining qualities. A controversial umpire can have an impact on the baseball world as it does in real life. There's extensive a network of highlight reel results that will add spice and surprise to your campaign. And the game's rating framework is simple and straightforward enough that you'll be able to create any player, team, or season you want quickly and easily. You can even play the game using ordinary baseball trading cards, rating these players as the game unfolds. So that's just their spiel on their own website. So I thought that was worthwhile to go over in case people haven't been to their website. And of course, this is the box that it comes in. All the play games these days have a cover box, and then you slide it out, the real box. But this is like the cover art, or whatever you want to call it. Sorry if I'm not catching these chats because I'm kind of in my spiel here. But it looks like Ben and Replay are going back and forth, having a nice conversation, which is cool. But yeah, the biggest thing about this game that I guess if I want to get across to anything is you're telling the story. That's what it's all about. It's not like the other games where you're going to, grab last year's 2025 Major League season and see if you can recreate what happened. You're taking something that has no, there's no, what's the right word for it? There are no, well, now I'm lost at the word I'm trying to, no expectations, I guess is the right word for it. There are no expectations as to what can happen or what should happen. And you're kind of, pretty much writing your own story, as this, saying goes. And that's the same with all the play games, whether it's golf, racing, football, basketball, whatever the case may be. So anyway, this is what, now, like I said, I've already played this game many, many times with, so the contents in here are not, this is not an unboxing. I'm not showing what I'm showing what you get when you purchase, but it's not an unboxing because it's already been opened. So again, you slide off the cover and you end up with a black box that looks like this with the Play Classic logo. And this thing here is just it's got some good artwork on the back. You can read all about it. There's more stuff to read here if you want to read it. But this is what you get when you order the game. All right. You get your dice with some tokens, and you get this unique die called a decider die. It's a 6-sided die. 3 of the sides have dots or bullets, whatever you want to call it, and 3 sides are blank. And it's like a 50-50 randomizer. The best way I can describe it. You get your rule book, and it's pretty well written rule book. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's not anything mind-boggling. It's pretty basic language there. You get I got separately the larger print. This is the larger print book. The print is usually not this big. The book is usually not this big. This is the extra large book because I'm older and I need better vision. So that's why I have this here. So you can see the print on there is much, much bigger. So I don't want to show too much because I don't want to give away intellectual property. All right, you get 2 game boards that come with the game. One is a game board where you can put the pitchers for both teams and the lineup for both teams. And they also give you extra things that are in the rule book, but maybe some, we can reference this really quickly. You're not going back to the rule book all the time. And same with how to attempt a bunt, hit and run, stolen base, attempt an extra base. And then the second page is where your umpires go, your 4 umpires around the bases. And then you put your benches and your bullpens over here. This tells you something about some of the qualities, and this tells you about base running. I'll get into that, as we go, but that's just basically what those boards represent. Those 2 boards there, you lay them, you kind of put them like that, or you put them side by side. I guess most people typically do it like this and play the game. All right. The next thing is the clubhouse mood chart. And we'll get into that when it comes to game day. That's one of the things about this game that really sets it apart is before you even throw the first pitch, maybe one of the most important parts is the pregame. And the pregame is where you tell your story. And that's where you tell if the player is hot or if the team is hot or cold, and then what messages they get from either the batting coach, the pitching coach, the team trainer at the front office, or the local media. And on the second page, there are talking about injuries. So if you play with injuries, you got the chances for the injuries as well. If you want to do weather, they got weather effects here too. I typically don't do the weather, but if you wanted to, you could. That's the whole point. You could. But there's two sides to this, sunny and stormy. And as you can imagine, it's best to be on the sunny side because you get the better results there. Your players get perks. Your manager might get a perk. You never know. Sunny side, they're going to be what you call anti-perks, where they're maybe cold or they're unhappy, or they pick up a bad quality or whatever the case may be. That's what this is going on here. So that's what those two sheets are for. It also comes with a ballpark sheet, so it has the qualities for every ballpark, so you don't have to memorize these. You can just write them down on your score sheet. And it's got all the parks here, and it's basically covering three things, whether it's grass or turf, and how it plays to righties or lefties. So it's either going to be normal, small, normal, or big, or the in-betweens, which are semi-big, semi-small, and that's where that bullet die comes in. But all the qualities are done there and put there. Then they have manager strategy cards, and you can see I haven't used these. They're still unperforated. But they have manager strategy cards, which you can play. You can give a one-on-one pep talk to help the right now. You can help some chemistry. You can steal or take an extra base on the strategy cards. You can walk to the mound to remove or add a quality to your pitcher. You can use a manager influence to help the batter that's currently at the plate to go to one of his better qualities and not one of his worst qualities. And you can even do a video replay challenge, but I wouldn't do this unless it's the current, part where, because back in like 1970, they didn't have this. So you might not want to do that for like 1970. So basically there's two sets. One, if you're playing head to head against somebody else, you can each have one of these, or, extra copy for yourself, so to speak. It comes with two World Series teams, or two World Series games, I should say, 1975 and 1955. Brooklyn Yankees, Boston, and Cincinnati. It's got the umpires, and it's got the ballparks with their qualities on them already right here. And then, of course, you got your players, and they're on here, and you have to unperforate them. But all the players there for the Yankees, and then the Dodgers. And then over here, you've got the Red Sox, their players, and the Reds. All right. The other thing you can do with this game that you can't really do with any other game that I know of is create your own players, or at least easily create your own players, I should say. And this is it's called Trading Card Quick Sheet. So you can take out your baseball cards out of your closet or shoebox or wherever they happen to be, that you had as a kid or whatever. And it gives you all the nomenclature of what is used in the game: ace, star, workman, struggler, champion, hero, sad sack. And it gives you a brief definition of what they mean. So when you watch a game and it says, oh, this guy's a sad sack, well, what it means is he's a very poor hitter, well under 200. So think Mario Mendoza. It would be a sad sack. That's a good thing to figure out that. You're looking at an ace. Okay, who's an ace? What determines if it's an ace? A pitcher who allows an average of around 2 runs per game is an ace. So if a guy has an ERA of like 2.1 or something, he's going to be an ace. If he's got an ERA of 6, he's going to be a struggler. I mean, there's mathematics in there, even though they use these awkward terminology for some people. It took me a while to wrap my head around what these things are. And some people have no designation. And that's a pitcher with no qualities will allow around 4 runs, 3 walks, and will strike out about 4 batters every 9 innings. So they're kind of like right middle of the road. They're not super good, super bad. They're kind of league average, and that's what the no designation has there. And on the back, It talks about the fielding qualities, and there's two fielding qualities, gold and iron. And basically, gold has exceptional fielding ratings, all-star players with reputations as great fielders. You can use semi-gold quality, otherwise don't assign a player a fielding quality at all. An iron fielder is somebody who's deficient. So think of what's that guy from the Pirates? He was Dr. Strangeglove. He would be iron, So Ozzie Smith would be gold. So kind of put it that way. Active and stoic are running qualities. You don't get a stealing quality and a run quality and a jump quality. You get one quality for everything. And this is active players. A player steals around 10 steals a base for every 10 at bats. So basically, to be active, you'd probably have to, in a full season, you'd probably have to steal about 40 or 50 bases. Stoic is a player who rarely steals. And this also will affect fielding because your outfielders can be active or stoic, and that will take them, say that they're either going to get to the ball or they're not going to get to the ball. Is there no audio? Did somebody lose audio? Is there no audio on this? Can somebody tell me if got audio? Okay, audio is fine. Okay, I was going to say I'd make sure I didn't hit my mute button by mistake. It's also got a quick reference table right here. So, it gives you the pitcher ERA, and these are rounded numbers, but pitcher ERA, if a pitcher has an ERA of 4, then he's going to get no designation. If he's just around in the 3s, he could probably be a star. If he's 2s, it could be an ace, and so forth. And of course, the beauty of the decider die is, what if somebody doesn't fit exactly into one of these categories? What if they're halfway in between one or the other? That's where the decider die will come in. Same with the batter. Champion's going to be a 350, or think Wade Boggs or somebody. 300 hitter is going to be a hero. Somebody hits around 250, they're not going to get any designation. If they're utility, you're talking a 200 hitter, and if you're really bad, you're talking a sad sack. Most hitting pitchers in the National League back in the day were sad sacks because they hit about 150. And same with power, either a home run king or a slugger. And the difference between the two is a slugger has more doubles than they do home runs. Home run king obviously has the home runs. And if you hit less than 5, usually you're given the scrapper quality, which means you're a scrapper. You just put the ball in play and don't swing for the fences. And then the pitching qualities, you have flash, control, and wild. Well, flash kind of is what it sounds like, which talking about strikeouts. So if somebody has a flash quality, that means they strike out a good number of batters. Control, think Greg Maddux, somebody that has a low amount of walks allowed. Conversely, wild, think of the wild thing, Mitch Williams, a high number of walks. All right, going to the batters. Patient, that just means they draw a lot of walks. Eager means somebody who's always swinging. They're never up there to try to get on base. They're always swinging, even at bad pitches. Whiffer sounds like what it says. Whiffer, you whiff at the ball and miss. So you are striking out a lot. And a good eye, think Tony Gwynn, maybe. Somebody who strikes out rarely. So that's kind of what goes there. And again, I'm not doing any notes or anything. This is strictly off the heart and off the cuff. So it may or may not flow well. Hopefully it does. Okay, so that's kind of an overview right there. Now let's talk about the dice. Let's talk about the dice. A lot of game companies that have different colored dice, the dice are deciphered in a color order, but not so in History Maker Baseball. They are deciphered in numerical order, lowest to highest. So in this case, you always roll 3d6s on the main chart, and you roll 1, 4, 5. So you read it upper to low, or lowest to highest. And then what happens on the game chart, there are more chances to have 1 with these other numbers. So that section is very, very big. You go to the 1 section, which is usually better for the pitcher. Not always, but usually is. If your lead die is a 2, you come down to the 2 section. And if your lead die is a 3, you go to the 3 section. You see they're getting smaller each time. 4, the 4 section, and finally 6 at the end. And then we have this magical thing called the decider die. Again, it is, let me close this up here real quick, so I don't give away any. I don't want anybody being mad at me for giving away something. All right, so we got the 3-sided dots here. We got a dot there, dot there, dot there, and we got blank, blank, and blank. So when you roll it, it's basically It's like rolling a regular dice and saying even or odd, but it's kind of, giving a little bit more to it. And what happens is the reason this is needed is because the qualities are so broad in their description. It covers a lot of ground. So some players don't fit neatly into one category or another. Sometimes they're sort of like that, but not always like that. So say somebody maybe is a 290 hitter or something like that. I'm just throwing it out off the cuff. Well, they could be a hero, but they're not quite up to that level yet, but they're a little bit better than average. So they should get something for their credit. So what the decider die does is on that particular bat, that quality could come up where they get to be a hero for that particular bat if this is a dot. If it's a blank, that means it doesn't come up. So that means when they're halfway in between, they got half a chance of being that quality and half a chance of not being that quality. So that's, to me, that's one of the beauties of the game, is that decider die. All right. One thing I didn't bring upstairs that I probably should have, but I don't want to give it away either, is they sell a ratings book. Not like the sheet that has the generic baseball card stuff, but it's a detailed blow-by-blow ratings book. Not this one, this is the game book. But the ratings book, you can create your own players, which I love to do. That's just something I really enjoy doing. There's a template you can get off the Play website. I believe it's on the Play Facebook page. Under the frequently asked questions, it'll have it. It's an Excel sheet, and it gives you a template to create players, any player you want. Now, a high school team, a college team, girls baseball, whatever you want, neighborhood boy team, whatever, or a major league team that maybe nobody's carded or rarely has. Say you wanted to play the 1927 Yankees. Well, game like Stratomatic, you're not going to find them because they're all sold out. So if you want to play the 1927 Yankees, there's a couple of games that would have it, but most of the big boys don't have that season rated or available. So you could rate them based on that and use that template, and it's all dropped down. I did a video on it earlier, before, about how to rate players. You can go back and watch that. So I don't want to belabor that again, but it's just an extra quality about this game that allows, and why I enjoy it, because I can't go create Stratomatic cards. I don't know the formula. Keith has pulled back the, veil, so to speak, on how he rates the players. He does it somewhat with the game parts with that baseball card thing, but if you really want to get in depth, there's a actual ratings guide that gives you blow by blow exactly how to do it and what they use, like what part of Baseball Reference stats do they use, if you want to get really, really mundane about it. All right. So that kind of is like a quick overview of what's going on. Let's look at some of the player cards. So let's look at, let's look at some of the Cincinnati Reds. Let's look at the Cincinnati Red player cards, and I'll point out certain things. All right. I don't want that. Let's get the other Cincinnati Red. Let me get, I wanted the starters, the main starters, because this kind of has Boston too. Okay. All right. So let's look at Pete Rose. Everybody knows about Pete Rose, right? I mean, who doesn't know about Pete Rose? You can see here Pete Rose has a good eye quality because he does not strike out a lot, but there is a little dot there. That means on each at bat, he could or could not have that quality. So it doesn't mean he doesn't ever strike out, because he does. So it's possible he will. But in this case, you would need to roll that decider die to come up, and then that would cause it to give him that quality. So we go back to the decider die again, pull that back out. So if we were if we were having it in that bat, and the book said if the batter's a good eye, he doesn't strike out. If the dot came up in that roll, that would activate this good eye quality, and he would have the good eye. But if during that at bat it was a blank, then it would be like this quality never happened because of the dot. Same with the scrapper. He's not a big home run hitter, but he can hit home runs once in a while. So if the book calls for checking to see if the batter is a scrapper, and it comes up with a dot, then that means for that at bat he is a scrapper. But if the decider die came up with a blank, then that means that quality does not exist. You can see he's rated as a hero. Well, that means he hits run around, what, 280, 290, something like that, or thereabouts. Actually, I think hero is about 300. Let me double check that. Let me look at his actual batting average for 1975. All right, 1975, Pete Rose hit 317. So there you go. So that's why he's a hero. He's a little over 300, so that's going to give him the hero quality. He's stoic, which means it doesn't mean he can't run. It just means he doesn't steal a lot of bases. So that's stoic. It means he's not going to try a lot of steals. He is an icon because he's been around forever, seemingly, or was around forever. If you look up here, it gives you his name, the team he plays for, and position, and then whether he bats right-handed, left-handed, or B for both. He was a switch hitter, so there you go. Fielding, they considered him average, so they did not give him an iron or a gold. Now, there is something that was recently added, I think, since I started playing the game. I don't think it was there when I first started, and that's called Delta ratings. And that's where Delta ratings come into play. Pete Rose, let me look at his stats. Pete Rose hit 47 doubles during the 1975 season. 47 doubles. That's a lot of doubles. So what this will do with the delta, there's a place in the book on the chart. Let's see if I can find one real quick that's handy. All right, here we go, right here. Look at this 116 result. There's a delta right there. It's the original result is single to left, but if Pete Rose got this with that delta, that single would change to a double to account for the 47 doubles that he had. That's one of the ratings that fit into that. And that's another interesting little thing about how they do their ratings. Let's look at a pitcher. All right, Louis Tiant. Let's look at Louis Tiant. So let me go back and get Louis Tiant's numbers for 1975. And we'll see how he stacks up. Not on his batting, but on his pitching. All right, Louis Tiant had an ERA of 4.02. So that's why he's not listed as an ace, a star, a struggler, or a workman, because he's right in the middle. That 402 is about average. So he's right in the middle, and he's going to get no quality for that. Now, he does have control quality. If I look at his stats on the 75 season, he walked 72 guys out of 1,080 batters that he faced. So the control quality basically is given to somebody who walks somebody once every, X number of at bats. Actually, they do it by innings pitched is the way they do it in the ratings. So he pitched 260 innings and he walked 72. So control, you usually get control when it's 1 to 4. So if you walk one batter for every 4 innings pitched, you usually get the control quality. If it's 3, it's probably semi-control. He walked 72 and 260, which is not exactly 1 to 4, but it's close enough because 1 to 4 would be about 280. So that's why they gave him the control quality. Flash, he gets a semi-flash. He struck out 142 batters in 260 innings. That's decent amount, but he's not like he's a flamethrower. But during the middle of the at-bat, if we get the dot, that will activate this flash quality, and any potential result will turn into a strikeout based on this dot making this flash. If it's a blank, then it's covered up like it never happened, and his only quality would be control at that point. Flash, it'd be like it didn't exist. It'd be like covering it up. All right. So that is how that works and why it works and why the qualities are what they are. Let's see. Look at Ken Griffey. He's got a sigma rating. See, he had a delta. This is a sigma. I'm not in trigonometry or anything right now, but I'm sure you probably, even if you weren't, you probably, if you know about fraternities and stuff, they probably had sigma whatever. So let's look at Ken Griffey's numbers on 1975 on his stats, because my whole point is, while they have these interesting little worded qualities. There's mathematics, strong mathematics and statistical accuracy behind it. So it's not like it's haphazard. Let me fix this here. Keep getting, looks like it's off center here for whatever reason. Okay. So we'll look at Griffey because he's got that triple there. Griffey in the 1975 season hit 9 triples. That's pretty high for triples. You don't usually get that many triples, but he got 9 of them. So if we look here in the, let me see if I can find it real quick. There's got to be a Sigma one somewhere along here. As soon as I can find it, I will show it to you. And it will turn that, oh, here we go. All right, so on this case here, Griffey, if this pitcher was a workman he was facing, he would get a double. But that has the Sigma rating next to it. So that means instead of a double, that will turn this into a triple because he had 9 triples and only 15 doubles. So the book is going to automatically move a double to a triple. So, you know, like I said, there is statistical stuff behind it. It's not just this rigmarole of fancy words or childish words or whatever. And believe me, when I first saw this game, I laughed it off saying, you know, this is ridiculous. But the more I got into it, the more I learned. Thanks Steve Tower and Al Wilson specifically, the two that got me into this thing. And and you really have to play it. I mean, people can preach to you about it till you're blue in the face, till they're blue in the face, but until you play it, you're not really going to be able to experience. It's like, you know, drinking a cold drink or something. Somebody can tell you how satisfying it is, but until you actually put it in your mouth and put it down your throat, you're not going to know. There's no way you could know. All right. Like I said, I haven't been looking at the chat because I've been trying to go over all this. Let me see what some of the all right, thank you, Ben. Hello, Mungo. Good to see you. Just the 2 Greek letters. That's the only 2 Greek letters I see on these things. Now, as far as the players, you got to be careful, and Keith tells you this in the instructions. They are perforated sheets. So I don't know how well it shows up on the screen on the video, but there is a perforated side sheet here. So basically what I do to make sure I don't tear the edges of the cards is I fold along the perforation here on that way, and then I come over here and do the same thing going the other way. And that kind of loosens it up a little bit. And then that way it should just tear right off with no issues. No little, what Replay Gamer used to call no little boogers or anything. They just come right off. Do the same thing here. And that's how you unperforate the cards. And then when you get up to this point, they're a little bit easier. It's all, if you bought Stratomatic, it's sort of like Stratomatic, that where they're, you know, perforated, you got to unperforate them. So what you do here, there's, like I said, it's hard to see, but there's perforated lines here and here. So what I do is just take it by the perforation, fold it down, and then bring it back this way. And that makes it almost fall off at that point. It's barely a tug and they come right apart. Same way here. Barely a tug. You do it twice, and they pretty much come right off. And then individually, there's perforations between the players. So just fold that down, and I fold that back. Pops right off. Very simple. And why am I unperforating these? Because I'm going to play a game. I'm going to play game 1 of the 1975 World Series as a demo. And I'm going to go very, very slow. And I'm going to try to be detailed on every single at bat as to what's happening. So this game may take an hour and a half to play. Normally I could play a history maker game in less than a half hour. But for the benefit of those that don't know about the game or are curious or never played it and have maybe watched it played on other channels or either on this channel and we're like, what the heck am I watching? Well, hopefully I can do a credible job of explaining what's going on as it's happening. So you can see how, you know, not only what's happening, but why it's happening and what caused it to happen and what about that player made it happen. It did just happen randomly. Well, it does with the dice roll because the dice rolls are random, but based on the dice roll, why something happened the way it did. So that's that one out of the way. Now let me fix this other page, do the same thing. I got to do the same thing with the umpires as well, because they do come with umpires. And umpires can affect the game. Sometimes they do and sometimes they don't, but when you least expect it, they will. And maybe that's one of the better things about umpires. You don't want the umpires to overdo it and dominate the game, but you do want them to where they matter once in a while. So I'll go through this a little faster now just to speed things up a bit. And then we'll get the game going. And I'll show, and I don't usually, if anybody's seen me play History Maker, you know I don't usually use the manager cards, but I will show those too so you can see how they would come into play if you chose to use them. Because when you're playing solo, it's kind of tough to use the manager cards because you feel like you're cheating for one team or the other. Where if it was head to head, you'd have a little bit better, maybe fairness to it, if that's the right word. I don't know if that's the right word or not. But anyway, we'll get this going and then we'll get the game started. Hello. Boy, I'm sorry, I'm not paying attention to the chat. Hello, Canadian. Hello, Mr. Gudeman. Good to see you. Hello, Joel Turney. Hello, Randy. Hello, Z Duff. Is it Z Duffer? My eyes aren't that good. No, Jeff. All I did was I took my Hockey Blast playmat. This is the playmat they use for Hockey Blast, and all I did was flip it over because it's black. And so I use that as like a little, it's nothing fancy, believe me. I don't do fancy. So fancy and me are unacquainted. Meat and potatoes is the best way I can explain it. I'm not dessert, I'm meat and potatoes. Some guys have the charisma and everything on their channels to be the dessert. I don't have that quality, so I stay in my lane. Or at least attempt to. All right, so they're all separated now. So let me do this. Let me get the game board out. Oh, I've still got another set of Red Sox to do. My bad. More to do than I thought I had to do, but oh well, it happens. Now the manager strategy cards I'm going to leave perforated because I'm not really going to use them that much. I may even leave the umpires perforated for now. Let's see, what was I looking for? Oh, the boards. There we go. Game boards. All right, so let's move this out of the way, and we'll get our game boards going here. And I may do them. What if I can do them side by side? That might be the best way to do it, is side by side. That way you can see both parts. I think that's probably the best way to do it, is this way. All right. Got one more page of Red Sox to do, and then we can get going here. Same deal, just unperforating. Unperforating. Make sure I don't kind of knock these off their little thing here, didn't I? Okay. So this board's where the umpires and the benches are going to go, and this is where the main action is taking place. So let me fix this here. Okay. I will have to update the title to say that I'm actually playing a game as well, because the title doesn't reflect that. I mean, you can only fit so many things in a title, so. But I just think if you're going to show the game or talk about the game, if you don't play the game, you're kind of defeating the purpose, at least in my opinion. So let's get these unperforated and get them set in there. I've already got the score sheet filled out, so that'll save me some time. But I do need to get the cards where they need to be so I can have them ready to go. All right, I could do these faster, I guess, if I put two together at one time. But that's, if you do that, then you got to make sure you're really careful about the folding these things so you don't shred one, or like I just got a little booger there on the corner. So that's the danger in doing these a couple of different ways. Okay, that's them. We're almost there. Of course, a guy like Tony Conigliaro did not play in the World Series, so I would not use him. I would hold him off to the side. Apologize if this is a little bit mundane until we get to the game, but it's necessary. All right. Now I think we're just about there. Okay. Well, yeah, Angel Hernandez is not in this set, so I don't know how, there's a separate thing in the ratings book that tells you how to rate the umpires too, if you choose to do so. If you really want to go all out, it'll tell you how to rate the umpires as well. So, all right, so we got the Reds and we got the Red Sox. Okay. And this is the board I really want to show because this is just the side here. So let's look at and I've got the score sheet. I'm going to have it off to the side. But this is the basic HistoryMaker score sheet that I downloaded from from Play.com. And let's look at the Boston Red Sox Fenway Park. It plays small to right-handers and normal to left-handers. So the green monster is accounted for. Is it playing small to right-handers and normal to left-handers? So it's taking effect that short porch in left field. And there you got the starting lineup. You got the pitchers, Tiant and Gullett. I could fill in the qualities, but I don't want to take the time to do that. I'll just read them off the cards as they come up. But normally there's a place here to fill in their qualities. So I won't do that. Let's see here. We will go through a game day, though, just so you can see that and see how that is done. So I will do that part. So let me find Luis Tiant because he's the starting pitcher for the Red Sox. He might have been in a different stack here. These are all bullpen guys, so I don't want them. Where are you, Louis? I know you're around somewhere. I didn't put him in here with the Reds by mistake, which I may have. Very possible. Well, there's Don Gullett. He's the visiting pitcher. We know that. Now, if I can find Louis, that would be a good thing. How can Louis get lost here? Shouldn't get lost. Check my Boston again. I must have just overlooked him. Sometimes these cards, when they're first perforated, they do kind of stick together, much like the Stratomatic cards do sometimes when they're first done. And that can cause it, the player to be hidden behind somebody else. And, of course, Jim Rice did not play in this World Series either. So I won't be using him because I will be doing the as-played lineup as soon as I find Luis Tiant, which is proving to be a struggle right now. There he is. He finally found him. There he is. There's Luis Tiant. Okay. So we got our pitchers out of the way. Let's get our lineup going first for the visiting Cincinnati Reds. We're going to have Pete Rose, Joe Morgan, Johnny Bench, Tony Perez, George Foster. Where's Foster's card? There he is. Concepcion at short. Griffey and right. Geronimo. And the pitchers' hitting qualities are on their own cards, so I don't have a place for them. They do make generic pitcher holding cards that you can use if you want, but I just, if you keep it score, you don't really need that probably. So let's go to, and then we put the guys on the bench that belong on the bench for the Reds. Of course, the infamous Ed Armbrister will go on their bench. And I'll go ahead and take out the umpires, I guess. So let me see the umpires. I wrote it down. Art France was behind the plate. He's from the American League. So we'll get Art France going here. And the umpire card's a little bit smaller. than the standard card. So if you look at the standard card and put it next to the umpire card, you can see the difference there. Put one on top of the other, it basically engulfs it. So Art France is going to be behind the plate. And if we get to an umpire check, then he will come into play. All right, at first base is Nick Colosi. So let's get Nick Colosi here. Nick Colosi is at first base. Second base is Larry Barnett. I think he was the umpire that had that controversial bunt play with Ed Armbrister. I'm not sure. And then Dick Stello is the third base umpire. Of course, in the World Series, you had left and right field umpires, but that's not part of History Maker. There's no provision for that, so we kind of ignore that. And then if you want to put Fenway Park right here in the middle, that gives you a thing of, the qualities of the ballpark and so forth. Of course, if you want to have actual stadiums replace these, there is on Play.com's Facebook page, I think you can get to Al Wilson's Google page. And Al Wilson's Google page, you can download Major League Stadiums. It gives you the stadium picture plus the secondary part for the umpires. You can do that, but that's separate. I didn't want to show that now because I want to show it from perspective of somebody brand new that doesn't have any accoutrements or anything like that. So, but I thought it was worth showing in case you were curious and you didn't want to have to play on this board all the time. All right, let's look at the Red Sox. Let's get their bench going here. First of all, need their lineup. So we got Dewey Evans in right field. He will lead off. Of course, Rice is not playing. We need Dewey Evans. Where are you? Dewey Evans. Are you the last one? Yeah, it's the final one I'm going to look at is Dewey Evans. So he leads off. Denny Doyle, who came over from California, is going to bat second. Yastrzemski bats third. Fisk bats cleanup. Lynn is in center. Petrocelli is at third. Rick Burleson at short. Cecil Cooper at first. And, of course, the pitcher, Tiant. So that's the way the board would look as you start the game. And, of course, we'll put on more of the Red Sox bench over there. And then we'll put in their bullpen. So we've got, and, of course, the infamous Jim Willoughby from Twilight Zone. Push, 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 push. So there he is. There's Jim Willoughby. The rest of the guys I'll put off to the side. They're not really needed. And then for the Reds, we'll get their main relievers out there. These four are kind of the main relief pitchers. Eastwick, Bourbon, Carroll, and McEnany. If I need somebody else, I'll pull somebody else, but I don't want to get them in the way. Other guys are starters and whatnot. Well, they did have Pat Darcy. He was the one that gave the home run to Fisk in this Game 6. So there you go. All right. Let me get back to the chat because I'm sorry I'm in my zone here and forgetting what people were doing. Yeah, are you ready? There are 6 umpires in the World Series, but the game does not have any provision for checking left and right field. So it only checks third and first base. Okay, now we go to our game day. And when you're in the middle of a season, it's easier because your game day, you're checking the winning streak of the team. Well, in this case, neither one has a winning streak. They're both, this thing is still tilted for some reason. Let's see if I can do it that way. Maybe that's better. Can't get my laptop out of the way, though. That's the problem. Let me move that out of the way a little bit more if I can without having it fall on the table. I can do it that way, maybe. Don't know how well that's going to show up, but we'll find out. Got my little cord here in the way. Move that if I can. Boy, it's just getting worse here. All right. Still feels like it's kind of tilted here. I'm not sure how to, maybe I can adjust it this way. Tilt it on my end so it looks straight on your end. How about that? Try that. See how that does. Okay, so we go to our chart, and when we don't have a result, then we're gonna roll the decider die, because in the game day chart, it asks you, was the last game a win or was it a loss? Well, we roll the 1d6, and if it's higher than their winning streak, then if it's within their winning streak, say you have a 2-game winning streak, you roll a 1 or a 2, they are sunny. If you roll a 3 or 4, then you need this die to figure out whether they're going to be sunny or not. So in this case, nobody has a winning streak. They're all at 0. So I'm going to let the decider die determine if they are harmonious or if they are dissonant. So the reds, we're going to roll a dot, you get harmony, and a blank, you get dissonance. So they are harmonious. All right, so that means they get to roll off of this chart, the sunny side. So we're going to roll 1d6, and that gives us a 6. Well, 6 talks about injuries. Well, I'm not going to do injuries, so we're just going to ignore that because I'm doing as play. I'm not doing injuries, so we're going to ignore that. But they will be harmonious through this game. So when we get to the check for chemistry, and I'll talk about each of those qualities as I get to it, then if we get that, then they'll be harmonious. Now let's check the Red Sox. They're also harmonious. So we'll roll and see what they get. They get a 1. 1 says batting coach. So one of the players could get a minor perk here or a major perk. So we're going to roll again. We get a 3. 3 says minor perk with reserve. So it's not even a starter, it's reserve. Come down here and find out which reserve we're talking about, whether it's outfielder, infielder, or the catcher. The number is a 4, so it is a reserve infielder. So we're going to look at the reserve infielders for the Red Sox and see who gets this perk. There's Bob Heiss. There is Doug Griffin. That's kind of the only 2 they have, unless you want to throw it, because the catcher is completely different. So we're going to talk about one of these 2 guys. One of these 2 guys. So if it's a dot, Heiss gets it. If it's a blank, Griffin gets it. So it's going to Heiss. So let's see what Bob Heiss's perk is. We go over to minor perk and see what he is in this game. It's, whoops, wrong number. Roll the number die. That's a 6. So his minor perk is he gets a delta rating for this game. All right, delta rating for the game. All right, so sunny delta rating. We're going to roll another d6 and find out what his delta rating is. It's a 3, so that's double. Right now he's got a sigma rating of a single, but he also has a, if he gets a hit and hits the delta result, it'll turn into a double, because that's what the 3 said here on the die. So I'll write that in the score sheet under Boston, is that Heiss, and since he's reserve, it probably won't even come up, but it's still worth noting on the score sheet. And I got horrible handwriting, so please forgive me for that. So what I've got here is I've got both teams have harmony, and I've got that Heiss has a delta rating for a double in this game. All right, so now we are ready to go and get this game going. Problem is, the way I have this set up, I don't have the dice tray. So let's do this. Let me move this out of the way, bring it up here, and I'll bring in the umpires if they're needed for their qualities. And let me bring in the dice tray, because it'd be much easier than having dice fly all over the place, that's for sure. So let me get my dice tray out. And of course, this is my dice tray. There's the tray portion, and then there's the top portion. It has a little hole up there to drop the dice in. And we'll get this going so everybody can see it, hopefully. Here we go. And like I said, we'll call on the umpires if they are needed. So let me tilt this because it looks tilted there. Maybe that's a little bit better now. Thinking that shows up better. Let me see here. Yes, dog days they are, and I just bought the 2025 Baseball America. I know I'm about 6 months late to the party, but I just bought it, and I will be doing a Ticonderoga Stooges season with that. And in fact, before I start, what did I do with them? Oh, there they are. This is my Baseball America set, all sorted. So I've got these little envelopes to have each of the teams in. So if I can find my Ticonderoga Stooges, they're in here somewhere. Let's see here. Well, we'll do this. We'll just do Key West. So right here, my Key West Reefers, Team 12. So they all fit in here pretty well. What they call little craft envelopes, I guess they call them. So there's the Key West Reefers, and they're going to play at Suncoast Capital Stadium. And they, of course, they have the world famous Fernando de la Rosa, made famous by Steve Tower, as a kind of a tribute, I guess, to Fernando Valenzuela. So, yep, that's what I have, and that's what I'll be playing later. And so that's the reason, one of the reasons why I'm doing this particular video here is so people will have seen and maybe gotten a breakdown of what they're seeing. The game book I have here, but I'll have it off to the side and just read the results. Read the results as they happen. Okay. So we're going to go slow. So if you've seen this game before, you're probably going to be painfully watching this thinking, what the heck is taking so long? But I want to do this for the benefit of the people that know very little, if anything, about the game. That's the reason why I'm doing this. All right. To use a Jesus analogy, he didn't come for the well, he came for the sick. Not saying anybody's sick here, but that's just what I'm talking about. I'm giving it for the people that, the benefit of the people that need it the most. The seasoned players don't need it. They know what they're doing. Probably better than I do. But anyway. All right, so we're underway. Pete Rose is going to lead off against Luis Tiant. If we get a chemistry check, both teams are harmonious. So here we go. First thing. Yes, I did name those teams. I did. It took me a while to come up with team names, but I did name those teams. That's why I intentionally bought the set that was not pre-named. They do sell a set that's colorized and has all the team names already in there. I've done that, been there, done that, got the t-shirt literally, and thought I'd do something differently. So now we're going to start Luis Tiant against Pete Rose, and we'll roll it. All right, so the first thing we said, we look at these things lowest to highest, not by color. Color will come to play on certain rolls, but most rolls it does not. 4, 5, 5. You always start with the pitcher. You always start with the pitcher. So 4, 5, 5. Come over here to 4, 5, 5. It says the pitcher have flash. Well, Luis Tiant has the semi-flash quality. There's a flash with a little dot here, which means sometimes he's flash and sometimes he's not. Well, in this case, the dot came up, so that activates this quality. So that says that he has flash, so it will be a strikeout. But hold the phone. There's a little eye symbol here. We'll go down to the eye symbol, and it says a good eye, batter avoids strikeout and grounds out instead. Pete Rose has the semi-good eye quality. So there's a chance that he could avoid the strikeout and put the ball in play. But he needs the decider die to come up with the dot. Well, we've already used it for Tiant, so we can't use the same result for Rose. We need to re-roll this. If it comes up with a dot, he'll get the good eye quality, and that means he will fight off the strikeout, not strike out and put the ball into play. If it comes a blank, that means Tiant got him and he strikes out. So it's a blank, so that means Pete Rose strikes out. He doesn't strike out much, but he did right there because he did not have the good eye quality on that particular at bat. So the dot came up positive for Tiant and not so positive for Rose. And that's the first at bat. That's kind of how an at bat goes. All right, here's Joe Morgan. You see, he's a semi-champion of a semi-slugger, so he's a good average hitter with some power, and he's definitely patient. And he's active. He gets on base, he's going to try to steal probably. All right, triples are, this is kind of like an APA thing. Triples are usually good in this game, usually. So triple 4, the pitcher is blank. We go to the batter, it says scrapper. Joe Morgan is a semi-slugger. He is not a scrapper. Pete Rose was a scrapper. If you look back at Pete Rose was a semi-scrapper. Morgan's got some pop. He's a semi-slugger. So this is a no. So it's basically a yes, no. You're going through yes, no procedures here. Is he a scrapper? No, he's not. If he was, it'd be a single to left, but no, he's not. So instead, it's a double to right field, but there are 3 asterisks here. So we look in the book under 3 asterisks, and the 3 asterisks say if he's a home run king, he hits a home run. Well, Morgan is a semi-slugger, not a home run king, which means he hits more doubles than he does home runs. So he's more likely to have a double than a home run. So the double will stand, and Joe Morgan will have himself a double. So Joe Morgan will double. He's at second base with 1 out. And here's Johnny Bench. And Tiant trying to pitch out of it. We get a 1-6-6. Again, reading it lowest to highest. And the desired die is a blank. So 1-6-6 asks the pitcher a workman. Nope, he's got no qualities. We've been through this in the pregame. He is an ERA of 4.02. So that's average, which means he is not positive or negative in the pitching quality. He is neutral. So we skip that. It's a no. We skip it. Is the batter a whiffer? Johnny Bench is a semi-whiffer, which means he strikes out a lot, but not a huge amount. But he could strike out in this at bat. However, the dot did not come up. So when there's no dot, we just take it and cover it up like it never happened. Like Serve Pro, like it never happened. And then when that doesn't happen, we go to the fielding chart, and it says ground out to third base. Okay, so Morgan's at second. The ground out went to third base. But did Morgan make it? Did he get all the way to third base from here? Well, these little parts in blue are the base runner. You don't have to calculate anything. This tells you everything you need to know about base runners. You don't even have to think about it. You just follow what it says. If the runner had been at first, it'd be a double play ground out. Runners advance 1 base on hits, 2 bases on doubles. With 2 outs, any runner scores from second on any hit. Okay? So it doesn't really tell me that. But there's a spot here, and you can't really see it. Let me see if I can bring it up here without dipping the cards off. But there is I'm making a mess here by doing that. I knew as soon as I picked it up, it was going to be a mess. But anyway, there is a ground out running table right here. The lead die, what they call the lead die, the first die is a 1, and a runner was on second. Lead die here is a 1, runner on second, runner holds. So there you go. Had this lead die been a 4, 5, or 6, then Morgan would have went to third base. But it wasn't. It was a 1. So he had to hold. So it's a ground out to short, or ground to third, rather. And Morgan had to hold. Now, the ground out to third was in red. And anytime you get one of these colors, red, blue, or purple, you need to go to the micro chart, what's called a micro chart. And the red micro chart is experience. Blue is what's happening right now, and purple is chemistry. Well, now we're going to go to the next batter, Tony Perez, and check his experience against Luis Tiant. They're both wily veterans, so they both have the icon quality. If it was a rookie, it'd be a prospect, but he's an icon. So is Tiant. So we're going to roll 2 dice, and it's either going to ask, is the batter an icon or the pitcher an icon, and then we'll figure out what's going to happen from there. So we roll the 2 dice. We get a 2-6. 2-6 says icon pitcher. Yes, Luis Tiant is an icon pitcher, so this is a yes. So we follow what happens next. Experience with batter strikes him out. So there you go. Because Tiant was experienced with, kind of hard to say his experience with Perez because they're in different leagues, but in this situation, he strikes him out, and that's the end of the inning. They strand Morgan at second base, and that's going to be the end of the first inning, or top of the first inning. Yeah, it was an earthquake. No problem, no question about that. I knew that was going to happen when I tried to lift this chart up, but I wanted to show what I was talking about as the why, because I try to give the why along with the what on pretty much every bat if I can think to do it. Problem is, I play this game so much is that I can get in a rhythm, and sometimes I can erroneously or haphazardly skip something that I really need to talk about. Okay, so now we go to Don Gullett. Don Gullett is your starting pitcher. He is an ace, but he's got a dot there, which means he's right on the borderline of a star or an ace. Sometimes he's an ace, sometimes he's not an ace. And again, it all depends on what comes up on the dot. So the first batter is Dwight Evans, and he's hitting against Gullett. 2-5-6. So we go to 2-5-6. in the book. And it asks, is the pitcher a struggler? No, he's not. He's a semi-ace. If he was a struggler, it had the word struggler written up there. So that's a no. Is the batter champion or patient? He's a semi-hero. He's not champion. And there's no patient or eagerness here, so he's totally neutral. So he is not patient. If he was, he would have walked. Otherwise, we got infield drama. So first time around, we're going to the drama chart. And the drama chart is going to test the defense of the Reds. The infield defense, I should say. Now, I didn't write down the qualities, and I probably should have on the score sheet. So I'll look at them going across. Concepcion is gold. Rose is neutral. Morgan is semi-gold, which means he needs a dot to become gold. And Perez is neutral. So we're going to roll the dot and see if it is a dot. So now both Morgan and Perez, right up the middle, short and second, are both gold. So we'll see if it comes up with a check on the second, shortstop, third, or first baseman. Infield drama, the 45, ask, is the shortstop iron? No, he's actually gold. We found that out. He's gold. If he was iron, he would bobble it for an error. Otherwise, bobble ball, but throws in time to get the batter out. So it was a tough hop to Concepcion. He had a little bit of trouble with it, but he was able to recover and throw Evans out at first, 6-3. One away for Denny Doyle. If anybody wants to stop me while I'm playing, ask a question, I'll try to look at the chat, but I may get into this game and forget to do it. So apologies if that happens. Kip Scary, I didn't plan on bringing him into that league because it's not the Buffalo Bees, but you never know. It could be a cameo. All right, here's Denny Doyle, 1-4-5. So we'll go back to the original chart. Ones are typically good for the pitcher most of the time. 1-4-5. Is the pitcher a struggler? No, we already saw it. He's a semi-ace. So it won't be a wild pitch. The batter is blank, and it's just simply a ground out to either first or third, and I go by whether he's a lefty or righty hitter. Since he's a lefty, I say he grounds to first. So Doyle's going to ground to Perez for out number 2. 2 quick outs, and here's Yastrzemski. Now, Yastrzemski is rated as a first baseman because all season long he played first base while Jim Rice played left. Of course, you remember the World Series, he had to take over in left field because Rice was injured. But he's a neutral fielder. They're going to call him neutral both sides of the house. I don't think he had enough fielding chances in left field to make a proper rating, so they just gave him neutral, and that's what he is. 2-3-3. All right, we go to 2-3-3. Again, lowest to highest. 2-3-3, ace or a star? Ace or a star? Now, he's a semi-ace. Does he get the dot? Yes, he does. That makes him an ace. Now, even if we didn't get the dot, the book says that a semi-ace, somebody that's in between, would get that benefit because he would either be he's somewhere between an ace or a star. So he's either a star, an ace, or somewhere in between is what that relates to. So even without the dot, he would have gotten it this time. But he did get the dot, so it is a ground out to short. And that's going to end the inning, 1-2-3. One thing about this game is that really good pitchers can control the game pretty well because they get the first shot. In fact, my only no-hitter came in this game, History Maker Baseball, 1967. Ferguson Jenkins no-hit the Giants. That was on a live stream. The video quality was horrible, but at least it was recorded. All right, so we go to the top of the second, and George Foster. 1-1-6. 1-1-6, ask, is he fresh? All right, let's define freshness. For starting pitchers, and this is generic, but you can change it when you go back into older seasons. Generically, the first 3 innings, the pitcher is fresh. The second 3 innings, 4, 5, and 6, the dot has to be there for him to be fresh because he reverts to semi-freshness. And then 7 or more, he goes to neutral unless he's pitching a shutout. That's all explained in the rule books. It also says for the older seasons, and I would consider 75 an older season, that you bump that up to a 4 innings for fresh instead of just 3 because, of course, that replicates how the pitchers pitch complete games and all that stuff. So in our purposes, Tiant is fresh 4 innings. So we're in the second inning, so he's definitely fresh. And it says if he's fresh, it's a strikeout. So there you go. 3rd strikeout for Tiant. That brings up Dave Concepcion, who I hope one day gets in the Hall of Fame. All right, 2-3-6. 2-3-6 ask, is the pitcher double? Is it a double control pitcher? He has control, but not double control. So that's a fail. If he had double control, it says ground out pitcher and shortstop. So he would get 2 outs in one play because he was double control. He would get 2 ground outs in a row. But that's not the case. Is the pitcher batting? It would be a strikeout if the pitcher was batting, but the pitcher is not batting. It's Concepcion. So therefore, he will draw the base on balls. So Dave Concepcion draws the walk. Now, what I do in games that don't have the pitcher batting, it eliminates this part here. So I think it overemphasizes this. So what I do as a homebrew is I check to see if the batter is eager or not. And if he's eager, he doesn't walk. It's a 2-ball count and the batter's still up. So Concepcion, since he's semi-eager and the dot was there, he would be a 2-ball count and it'd be you could get another roll if we were doing DH. But since the pitcher is hitting and it is possible for the pitcher to come up and get this result, I will keep with the original result. But that is one that I do homebrew because sometimes the game will produce a lot of walks based on that one roll because very few pitchers get double control. I mean, Greg Maddux is one of them, but not many others. All right, we go to Griffey, 256 this time. So 256 asks, is the pitcher a struggler? No, Tiant has no quality, so he's not a struggler. Is the batter champion or patient? He's a semi-champion, but the dot doesn't give it to him. So this particular bat, he's a really good average, but he's not quite at the full champion range. He's kind of somewhere between a hero and a champion, but not quite fully there. So he needs a little bit of assistance from the dot, but he didn't get it. So he will, if he was a champion, he would walk. But instead, we got infield drama again. So now we're going to the Red Sox infield, and we'll check their infield drama. So in the infield, Doyle is neutral. Cooper is gold. And I think everybody else is neutral as well. Petrocelli and Burleson are both neutral. So Cooper is gold at first base. The other 3 are neutral on the infield drama. And that's a 55 on the infield drama. 55 says first baseman iron. No, he's gold. If he was iron, a wild throw to the pitcher covering first, batter safe on error. Otherwise, it's a routine ground out. So it's a routine ground out, but a runner is on base. So what do we do with the runner on base? Well, the lead die tells you these things. The lead die in this case was a 5, 4 through 6 on here. And it says runners advance on a ground out. So in this case, it's a play where Cooper makes the play, flips to Tiant covering. Concepcion will take second base. So Concepcion's at second base with 2 outs for Cesar Geronimo. Now, we could walk Geronimo intentionally and pitch to Gullett. Some people like to do that with first base open. Some people, and I'm more on the second half of the some people, where I like to try to get this guy out and force the pitcher to bat the next inning, particularly if he's not that good of a hitter. And if he's batting 8th, he's not that good of a hitter. So I'm going to go ahead and pitch to Geronimo. Could be wrong, but I'm going to go ahead and pitch to Geronimo. I'm not going to walk him intentionally, hoping to get him out and make Gullett lead off the next inning. So Tiant goes to Geronimo. It's a 4-5-6. 4-5-6 is blank for the pitcher. Is he patient? He is not patient. He's not eager. He's not patient. So neither one. He's neutral. So if he was patient, he would walk. Otherwise, he flies out to center field, and you can see that's in purple. So that means we'll go to the chemistry chart for the first at bat of the next inning because that's the 3rd out. So Geronimo is out. Reds are retired. And we go to the bottom of the 2nd. But we're not going to be using Fisk batting qualities or Gullett's pitching qualities. That result was in purple. And we're going to the chemistry. Both teams are already harmonious. We found that out in the pregame. So I'm going to roll and see what happens. 2-4 on the harmony chart. Batting team harmony. Yes, they are harmonious. Batter connects on a bloop single. So that's a base hit for Carlton Fisk because the team was harmonious. You may think that what the heck does that got to do with Fisk getting a base hit? But these little intangibles add to the gameness of the game. Again, it's not Stratomatic. It's not trying to be. It's a game. But it's a game that, to me, is still realistic enough to give you that real feel. All right, here's Fred Lynn. That's a 1-4-6. Again, 1s are usually good for the pitcher. 1-4-6 is flash. He's got semi-flash, which means he kind of strikes out some guys, but not a whole lot of them, not too many of them. He needs the dot. He didn't get it. So that means that's like that quality never existed. It's vacant. So it will not be a flash, so he will not strike out the batter. Is the batter a champion? Fred Lynn is a semi-champion. We've already used the dot, so we've got to reuse it for Fred Lynn. See if he's a champion or not. He is not. So since he's not a champion, he will not get a bloop single. Instead, he will ground out to second. And with the lead die of 1, that's a double play. So Fred Lynn would have gotten a hit had this come up as a dot because of the champion. He would have gotten a hit. Since the game was blank, it's a ground out to second. And since the lead die was a 1, it's a double play. So you don't have to worry about calculating anything or checking any ranges or anything. It just says it right here, base running, double play on ground outs. Cut and dry. So it's 4-6-3 double play. Like I said, I was going to do this as a recording, and I apologize if I'm not checking the chat fast enough, but let me see if there's anything on here. Hello, P. My eyes are bad. Or PFLQR, I think it's GR maybe. My eyes are terrible. I apologize. All right, we're starting now the Petrocelli at bat with 2 outs and the bases empty. And we get a 2-6-6. 2-6-6 ask if there's a run on first, he's going to be thrown out. He's going to be picked off. So there's nobody on first. Is he the leadoff batter? No. He is batting number 6 in the order. Leadoff batter is either the number 1 position or the guy that leads off a particular inning, but they've already had 2 guys bat, so he's not the leadoff batter, so he will not single. Instead, he flies to right. So fly to right ends the inning, and there's no score after 2. All right, so since we walked or didn't walk Geronimo, we're going to make Gullett lead off the next inning. And, of course, his batting qualities are right here on the side. He does bat right-handed. Now, in this game, there is only one spot that uses lefty-righty splits, and that's this result here, 3-5-6. Ask if it's the same. That means, are you a right-hander facing a right-hander or a lefty facing a lefty? If they are, you get a strikeout. Otherwise, a low average hitter will make an out, but other batters will get a hit. But that's the only place where the left-right split comes in. So if you're looking for a whole lot of left-right splits, and I love my left-right splits, but in this game I can get around it. So that's the only place that the left-right split comes into play. All right, so here 1-2-5 for Tiant. 1-2-5, ask is he a struggler? No, he's neutral. So we skip that. Is the batter patient? No, he's actually eager. He's not patient, so he won't walk. Instead, he will ground to third, but there's a thumb there. I don't know how well it shows up on the screen there, but there's a thumb there. And the thumb, go over here, thumb says, where'd it go? That if the batter is a whiffer, he strikes out. Well, Gullett is a whiffer, so that means he will strike out. Not walk, but not the ground out, but he will strike out because he has a propensity to strike out a lot. So that's 1 away. And that's a 4th strikeout for Tiant. And we're back to Rose. 3-6-6. We just missed the 3-5-6 roll, which would have given him a hit for being a switch hitter. 3-6-6 is blank for the pitcher. It asks, is the batter a pinch hitter? No, he's not, so he's going to fly to center. So that's the one roll where if you're using a pinch hitter and that comes up, you get a hit. All right, here's Joe Morgan now. 2 outs and bases clear. He doubled his first time up. That's a 3-4-6. Blank for the pitcher. Is he eager? Joe Morgan is patient. He is not eager. So he will not fly to center. He will actually walk. And it says active steals. He is active. So Morgan not only will walk, but he will steal second automatically because he's active. That's what the symbol says here. So Morgan will walk, and he will steal second base. And that results in purple, so we're going to the chemistry at bat for Johnny Bench. And I believe that was the same thing that happened last time with Johnny Bench, where we went to, or no, it was Fist that we did it for. All right, so it's a 2-die roll, and both teams are harmonious. We get a 45. 45 says, batting team harmony. Yes, focused batter waits on pitch for a walk. So it means Bench is going to walk. Second walk in a row issued by Tiant. Had they not been harmonious, he would not have walked. He would have grounded out, and the inning would have been over. But because of the good chemistry, he was focused, wasn't distracted by any off-field stuff, and he was able to draw the walk. Whether you whether you think that's apples and oranges, that's up to you. But it's all part of the game. You got to think game here. Don't think Stratomatic. Think game. All right, here's Tony Perez. 1-1-3. Is he ace or dynamic? No, he's neutral. He's not anything like that. So it won't be a ground out to first. Is the batter a slugger? Tony Perez is a slugger right here. Solid slugger. So that means he's going to double to left field. There is a little symbol here, and that talks about a home run legend, but that's usually for really advanced play and for older seasons, I think. He's not a home run legend, so there won't be a home run legend, but he will get the double. And on a double, it says runners advance 1 base on hits, 2 bases on doubles. Active runner scores from second on any base hit. With 2 outs, any runner scores from second on any hit. But it does not provide a double scoring a guy from first. So bench is going to stop at third base. Scoring is Morgan, so the Reds lead at 1-0 on the double by Tony Perez. So Tony put an ace pitcher would have stopped that. Don Gullett would have probably stopped that, but not Tiant. So it's 1-0 Reds in second and third, and here's George Foster. 4, 5, 6. We're back over to where we had before. Is the batter patient? George Foster is semi-eager. He's not patient, so he will fly to center, and that will end the inning. Reds get a run. They lead at 1-0, but that result, if you remember, 4, 5, 6 was in purple. So we're going back to the chemistry chart for the first at bat of the bottom of the third for Rick Burleson. On the chemistry roll, 1-3. Pitching team harmony, yes. Infielder makes diving stab of a hot liner for an out. Otherwise, it would have been a hit. So since they are harmonious, the defensive player made the line out. Now, it doesn't say who the line out went to. When the book doesn't say, sometimes they just roll for it. We get a 4, so that means Joe Morgan made a nice line out. Made the play. 1 away, and here's Cecil Cooper. We get a 3-4-6. 3-4-6. Blank for the pitcher. Is the batter eager? Cooper is semi-eager, but the dot this time says he's not eager on this particular at bat. So since he's not eager, he will walk. And we're going to go right back to we would normally go right back to the chemistry chart for the at bat of Louis Tiant, but Tiant's going to be up there to bunt. I mean, that's just, you got to do it. And bunting is very simplistic. You don't go by bunt ratings or anything. You're rolling the die here, rolling this chart. And basically anything other than a 6 is going to be a good bunt. We get a 4. 3, 4, 5 says out at first, runners advance. And if you want to be technical and figure out where the bunt went to third. So Pete Rose fielded it. Sacrifice hit, we'll call it 5-4. With Morgan covering first and Cooper taking second. So Tiant gets the bunt down now with 2 outs, and Dewey Evans back at the plate with a runner at Cooper now at second base. 1-6-6. Is he a workman? No, he's a semi-ace. Is the batter a whiffer? He's a semi-whiffer. The dot says this particular at bat, that whiffer quality comes into play, so that means that he will strike out. So Evans strikes out to end the inning. And at the end of 3 complete, it is Cincinnati 1 and Boston nothing. So hopefully by doing this, you're kind of getting a flow of how it's going. I'm trying to do it slow enough, but I got a feeling that maybe muscle memory is going to take over. I'm going to start speeding things up. But anyway, here's the score sheet to this point. You can see the score sheet for the Red Sox, who haven't been doing much. This is the score sheet for the Reds. You got the walk and the stolen base here, a walk to bench, and the double by Perez scores Morgan. And it's 1-0. So now we go to the top of the 4th. Normally, when you start the top of the 4th, pitcher freshness reverts to semi-fresh, where you need the dot to come up to be fresh. But these are older seasons, so I'm going to make it 4 innings. So they get 1 more complete inning of full freshness. That's a 2-3-3. 2-3-3, ace or star. Tiant is neither one of those, so we skip that. It's not going to be a ground out. Is the batter a slugger? No, he's a semi-scrapper. He's not a slugger. So Concepcion, not a whole lot of power. If he had been a slugger, it would have been a home run. Otherwise, it's a fly out to center field. So Concepcion flies out. Had it been George Foster or somebody like or Johnny Bench, that would have been a home run, but it wasn't. You never know what quality they're going to check. I mean, it's different. It's random by the dice roll. All right, here's Ken Griffey. 2-2-5. 2-2-5. Is the pitcher a star? No, again, Tiant is neutral. So he will not get a ground out. Is the batter slugger or sad sack? He's neither one. So we skip that. And he gets a single to center field. Active steals. He's not active, so he won't steal, but he will get the base hit. So Griffey gets a base hit. And that'll bring up Cesar Geronimo. 4, 5, 6. We've had that roll several times already. We know the pitcher is blank. Asking is the batter patient, which he is not, so he flies to center for out number 2. And we're going to the chemistry chart. And we're going to stay on the chemistry chart because Gullett's not going to bunt. There are already 2 outs. So we're going to chemistry for this at bat. So this kind of helps Cincinnati out because you don't get Gullett having to bat off his own card. 2-4. So you get the breaks sometimes. You don't get the breaks. 2-4. Batting team harmony. Yes, batter connects on a bloop single. So it's a bloop single for Gullett. And let's see here. With 2 outs, Griffey will take third base. So it is first and third. And that's one I just kind of added in myself because to me on a bloop single with 2 outs, the runner's running on contact. If it's a bloop, it's going to take a while for the fielder to get to it. So in my mind, even though the lead die was a 2, I'm still letting him get third base. That's just a home rule, and this game has got homebrew written all over it. So, hello, D. Scott. Good to see you. All right, here is Pete Rose now with runners at the corners and 2 outs. So it's a clutch situation for Pete Rose. 2-3-4, and 2-3-4 ask, are there runners on base? Yes, there are. So we got plate drama. So plate drama is an interesting drama chart. When you get to plate drama, it's talking about the catcher, and in this case, Carlton Fisk. So I'm going to pull up Carlton Fisk's card. He is actually a neutral fielder. You could argue maybe he should be semi-gold, but they rate him as neutral, so we'll call him that. So that means he's neutral. He's neither iron nor gold. And we're going to roll the 2 D6s and check the plate drama. 1-3. Catcher gold. No, he's not gold. So it won't be a ball. It'll be a wild pitch. So a wild pitch is going to score the run. Griffey's going to come in to score. And again, you could argue that Fisk should have been gold, but I'm not going to argue their ratings. I know they go by something on Baseball Reference and some rating system they use, and I don't know exactly what it is, but it's in the book, but in the how-to book, but I don't have it in front of me. So anyway, it's a wild pitch and it's in purple. So we're going back to, because the wild pitch showed up in purple. So we're going to flip over back to the chemistry chart. And some people think you're going to these charts too many times. I mean, it seems like it sometimes, but I don't think it's all that bad. So we go to the chemistry chart, 3-6. This is Pete Rose still batting. Batting team harmony. Yes, enthused batter knocks deep drive off the wall for a double. How about that? Pete Rose will double. And Gullett will come in to score. It's 3-0 Reds. And with this setup, I don't have any way to show base runners or anything, so that's kind of bad, but kind of I'll talk you through it, I guess. So Rose doubles with 2 outs, brings home 2 runs now for Joe Morgan. And that's a 5-6-6. Anytime you get those bigger numbers, start leaning towards the batter as being the best thing for them. 5-6-6. Is the pitcher wild? No, he's got control. Does the batter have a good eye? Morgan does not have the good eye, so he will actually strike out. So Morgan strikes out to end the inning, but it's a 2-run inning for the Reds. And we go to the bottom of the 4th. It is 3-0 Cincinnati. Now that result was in blue. So that means we're going to the right now chart for the first at bat between Gullett and Doyle. Some people could homebrew that and say, well, why do you want to carry it over the next inning? Why not just keep it for the current inning? Because these guys were not involved in the last at bat. But by rule, if you want to follow the rule book, this is what we do. So we look at what they did prior. Don Gullett, the last batter he faced was Dwight Evans, and he struck him out. So since he struck him out in his last batter faced, he is going to be hot. But when you do innings 1 through 5, you only get to be semi-hot. You get to be fully hot when you get to the end. And the part up here on the board tells you that. So he'll be semi-hot. And we'll look at Doyle, his last at bat. He grounded to first, which means he's neutral. It's not either to be hot, you have to have a hit. To be cold, you have to struck out. So we got a semi-hot pitcher against a neutral batter. Oops. So we're going to roll the decide or die first and see if he's hot or not. Nope. So it's neutral against neutral. Gullett against Doyle. And we get a 2-6 on the right now chart. Hot pitcher, no, he would have been had he gotten the dot. And if he would have been hot, he would have overpowered batter with best pitch for a strikeout. Otherwise, pitch misses, driven into right field for a base hit. So how about that? Denny Doyle gets the base hit because Gullett was not a hot pitcher at the moment. So he gets the base hit, and here comes Yastrzemski. That's a 1-1-3. Again, low numbers usually good for the pitcher. 1-1-3, ace or dynamic. He's a semi-ace. The dot comes up, so yes, he is. So it's a ground out to first, and with a lead die of 1, it's a double play. So by being an ace, not only you get 1 out, but he got 2 outs. So it's a ground out to first, so it's going to be a 3-6-3 double play. And that's the second double play turned by the Reds here in 4 innings. Clears the bases now for Mr. Fisk. 5-6-6. We just had that roll. 5-6-6. He's not a wild pitcher. He's got control. Good eye. Fisk does not have the good eye, so he will strike out. And that will end the inning. Nothing doing for the Red Sox. And that was also in blue, so we're going to the right now chart for the next at bat and start the top of the 5th. Look back at the score sheet. Tiant struck out Morgan to end the 4th, so he's going to be semi-hot. Bench walked, so he's going to be neutral. So we got semi-hot against neutral. And now he's a hot pitcher. So Tiant is a hot pitcher. Bench is a neutral batter on the right now chart. And we get a 2-6. I think that was the one we just had. Checking a hot pitcher, but I'll double check it. Yep, hot pitcher overpowers batter with best pitch for a strikeout. So since the dot came up, Tiant was hot. And so he's going to strike out Bench to keep that hotness going. And Johnny Bench is out on strikes. Here's Tony Perez. If I'm going too fast or too slow, let me know. And I'll either, if you need something more drawn out to explain what's going on, let me know. If not, I'll keep going the way I'm going. 1-2-4. 1-2-4 asks, does the pitcher have control? Tiant has full control. He doesn't even need the decide or die. That's irrelevant. He's got the full control. So that's going to be a ground out to short. And had somebody been on first, it would have been a double play, but the bases were empty. So here is George Foster. We get a 1-2-3. That's asking, does he have both flash and fresh qualities? Well, he is fresh because we're in the 4th inning. We're in the 5th inning now, so he's semi-fresh. But the decide or die gives it to him, makes him fully fresh. Flash, we got to figure out because we already used the decide or die to determine that he's fresh. We need to decide or die again to determine if he has flash. And he does. So he is flash and fresh. So that means he's going to get a strikeout again to end the inning. So we go to the bottom of the 5th, still 3-0 Reds. Hello, Mr. Al Red Sox. How are you? Tabby is doing well. She's downstairs sleeping in bed, relaxing. In case you missed it, I'm not sure when you came in, Al, but in the beginning, the first 20-something minutes of the video I was going through an overview of detailed how you get the results in History Maker Baseball and where they come from and all that stuff. So, all right, Fred Lynn, and Gullett again is semi-fresh because we're in the 5th inning. That's a 2-4-5. And that asks, it's pitcher's blank. It asks the batter a hero. Fred Lynn is a semi-hero, but the dot takes it away from him. So he's got a very good average. He's a semi-hero and a semi-champion, but he didn't get the dot. So he will not be a hero this particular at-bat. So since he's not a hero, he won't single. Instead, he'll pop it out to second, and that's in red. So we're going to the experience chart for the next at bat. And the next at bat is Petrocelli. He's an icon, and Gullett is a semi-icon. So Gullett will need the dot to see if he's an icon. He is not. So it's an experienced Petrocelli against a neutral Gullett on the experience chart. And we get a 2-5 on the experience chart. Icon batter, yes, anticipates pitch, chops single pass short. So Petrocelli, using his cunning guile, gets a base hit. And now that brings up Rick Burleson. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Ben, or up to 0. I'm not sure. I'm missing the context of the chat. I apologize. All right, here is Burleson. 224. Let's go to 224. 224. Pitching at home. So this is the one role that talks about whether the home team is bad, or it gives a home field advantage per se. But Gullett is on the road. Reds are in Boston, so there is no pitching at home. If they were pitching in Cincinnati, it'd be a pop out to short. Otherwise, we drive on. Ask, is the batter a slugger? Burleson's not a slugger. He's a semi-scrapper. But he's still going to get a single to right field. An active runner would steal. He is not active. But he does get the single. And with a lead die of 2, the runner on first only gets second base. So it's first and second now with 1 out. Tying runs at the plate in Cecil Cooper. And the result was in blue, so we're going to the right now chart. Oh, you're talking about temperature. I'm sorry. Okay, I was missing what was going on there. All right. Cooper is up on the right now chart. Gullett, by giving up that single, he is now semi-cold. And Cooper walked his last time, so he's neutral. So we've got a semi-cold pitcher against a neutral batter. And now they're both neutral. Neutral against neutral, and it's a 1-1. That's an interesting roll. A 1-1. So we'll see what happens on the right now chart on a 1-1. Cold pitcher. No, he's not a cold pitcher. If he was, he'd serve a gopher ball. Otherwise, it's a fly to right field. So he wasn't a cold pitcher, so he just flies to right. That's out number 2. Tiant will bat for himself. We're only in the 5th inning, so no use panicking yet for a pinch hitter. So we're going to have Louis Tiant swing away. 5.56. 5.56. Is the pitcher an ace? No, he's a semi-ace, but the dot is not going to give it to him, so he's not an ace. Is the batter a sad sack? Unfortunately, Louis Tiant is a sad sack, so he will line it out to first base. He would have gotten a double otherwise, but he lines it out to first base. Tony Perez snags it because he's a sad sack, and sad sack just means he hits below 200, basically, like a Mendoza thing. So he's a poor hitter, basically. So he lines it to first. A decent hitter would have gotten a double, but wasn't a decent hitter. So now we go to the 6th. It's still a 3-0 ball game. That's a 2-2-6. Concepcion is your batter. Go to 2-2-6. There's no runner on first. Is he the leadoff batter? Yes, he is. He bats 6th in the lineup, but for this inning, he is the leadoff batter, so he gets a hit. That leadoff batter can pertain to the guy leading off any inning or the number 1 position in the order. So Pete Rose would always get a hit there, but the other ones depending on if they're leading off the inning, which he was. And here's Griffey. 3.55. Is the pitcher a struggler? No, Tiant is not a struggler. Is the batter a champion? Griffey is a semi-champion. The dot gives it to him, so he is a champion in this particular bat. So since he's a champion, he will double to left. There is that sigma rating. Sigma rating means it's going to turn to a triple. So this will not only be a double, but because of that sigma thing here, and he's got the sigma for a triple, this double will now turn to a triple. Remember, the beginning of the video, I showed you Griffey had 9 triples on the year. And this is a way you can incorporate some triples into the game that don't come from the regular result. You take that double, that's a sigma, and change it to a triple. So Ken Griffey, an RBI triple to make it 4-0 Cincinnati. Now the Boston bullpen is loosening. The Boston bullpen is active. Tiant's having a little bit of issues here. And with Geronimo coming up, boy, you wonder if they might go to the bullpen now, because they're going to need some help. So they're going to pull Louis Tiant. Daryl Johnson's not happy about what's going on. And they're going to bring in Jim Burton out of the bullpen. So Jim Burton will come on. Tiant's going to go 5+ innings, and we'll do the rest later. He's given up 4 runs, but he is responsible for the runner at third with nobody out. Now, Burton's coming in. When you come into the ballgame as a relief pitcher in the middle of the inning, you get to gain the ace quality. So for this first at bat only, he will now be an ace to go along with the star, semi-flash, and semi-control. So he will be an ace, and the infield will play in. Infield will be in. Burton lefty on lefty against Geronimo with the infield in. We get a 1-1-4. 1-1-4. Is he fresh? Yes, a ground out to short. Now with the infield in, I'm not going to cause another earthquake with all these cards. I'll just read what's up here on the fielding play here. With the infield in and a runner at third. On a lead die of 1, 2, or 3, the runner holds. Lead die was a 1, so the runner has to hold. So it is a ground out to short. Burleson has it, checks the runner, and Geronimo holds. So there's 1 away. And now Don Gullett's going to bat. I've never tried any kind of squeeze play or anything in this game, so I'm not going to worry about it now. We're just going to have Gullett swing away. But we're going to also have infield in still. Infield is in once again. 1-4-5. 1-4-5, and he's no longer an ace anymore. That was just for the first at bat. 1-4-5. Is he a struggler? No, he's not a struggler, so it won't be a wild pitch. It'll be a ground out to short unless he's a whiffer. Gullett is a whiffer, so that because of that little thumb there, he's a whiffer. I'm sorry, I misread that. 1-4-5, not 1-4-4. 1-4-5 is a ground out to first. But again, with the infield in and the lead die 1, the runner has to hold. So it won't be a strikeout. It'll be a ground out to the first baseman, Cooper. And again, he checks the runner at third and keeps him there. Now the infield can go back to normal for Pete Rose. So Burton trying to get out of the mess. We get a 2-5-6. Is he a struggler? No, he's not a struggler. Is Pete Rose a champion or patient? He's neither one. So we had infield drama for the Red Sox, and we've already seen their infield. Cooper is gold. Everybody else is neutral. We get a 44 on the infield drama. 44 says pitcher gold. Jim Burton is neutral. He's not gold. So pitcher is not gold. If he was gold, a bad hop, a pitcher saves play, batter out first. Otherwise, pitcher mishandles the ball, safe at first on an error. So that error by Burton is going to allow the run to score. E1, and Griffey will come in to score to make it 5-0. And now all 5 runs are charged to Tiant. 4 of them earned. That last run was unearned, obviously, because of the error. And it's now 5-0 Cincinnati. As Burton should have made the play to end the inning, but he did not. And that safe on first and error is in red, so we're going to the experience chart for the Joe Morgan at bat. And Joe Morgan has a definite advantage here. However, let's say we wanted to use, I'll go ahead and use this just to show it off. I said I wasn't going to use them, but I'll use them anyway. And those are the strategy charts, or the manager cards, I guess is what they would be called technically. So if we don't want a prospect Jim Burton to have to face an icon Joe Morgan, we want to get it off of that experience chart and get it somewhere else. So what could we use to get it somewhere else is the question. Well, what we could do is we could use a manager coaching tip and make this pitcher or batter an icon. We could turn him into an icon for this at bat off of a coaching tip. We could do that. Let's see, is there anything else we can do? Not really anything else that I can see on here. Well, we could do this. We could walk to the mound and add or remove a pitching quality. So we could give him the ace quality on the at-bat, but that's still not going to help with with us going to chemistry chart. The only thing we can do that I can see on here that makes sense is to use the manager coaching tip and turn him into an icon. So on the score sheet, there is a place here for manager strategy cards that are used. So we are using what's called manager coaching tip. I know you can't see it because it's in real light blue here, but the coaching tip, we'll put an X there saying we've used that. And so now by doing that, Burton will now be an icon to go along with Morgan. You won't get caught up in him being a prospect. He will be an icon. And that's a 45 on the experience chart. 45 on the experience chart. Prospect batter, no. If he was, he'd be strike out. Otherwise, hard to field, infield, grounder, batter out at first. But if he's active, he's safe. Joe Morgan is active, so he beats this out for a base hit. A non-active runner would have been out. So the strategy card didn't really help us in this case, but we didn't know that coming in. And here's Johnny Bench. And now I believe we're going to pull Burton and go for a righty out of the bullpen. They will go to a righty out of the bullpen, and they will be using Jim Willoughby. So they're going to bring in Willoughby out of the bullpen. And this will do two things. One, you get a righty and righty matchup, and two, he gains the ace quality. So Willoughby will now be an ace to go with his semi-star quality, facing Johnny Bench. 1, 2, 4. Does he have control? Let's see. 1, 2, 4. Control quality? No, he's semi-control and the dot let him down. Is the batter eager? Johnny Bench is not eager, so he will walk. So Willoughby comes in and walks Bench to load the bases. So now the bases are loaded for Tony Perez. Willoughby is no longer an ace. He only had it for that one at bat. So now he's got to really fight this off. World's Worst, according to the rules, I believe you get 6 per game for each team. There used to be little baseballs. There's a separate score sheet that Al Wilson had little baseballs, and I think it was 6 on there. But, I mean, you can homebrew it any way you want. Some of them you use more than once. Some you can only use once, and that's it. So it depends on – it's all in the rule book as to how you want to do it. All right. In fact, let me get the rule book out real quick, and I'll see what the rule book actually says, since we're going to take a – all right, it says here, a history maker baseball is allowed to expand it, blah, 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 blah. Let's see here. Each manager's strategy card is self-explanatory. Some cards require dice roll, others do not. Does it give the number? The cards can be used when playing solitaire or head-to-head. It says each manager may play any combination of 6 strategy cards during the game. So that's what it says in the rule book. But, of course, you can tweak that how you like it. So bases loaded, 2 outs, and here's Tony Perez. 2-2-4, that's the pitching at home, and he's going to get that benefit because we're at Fenway Park. So since they're pitching at home, it'll be a pop out to short. Otherwise, that would have been another double for Perez had we been in Cincinnati. But since they're at home, get the pop out to short. So they saved about 3 runs right there, 2 or 3 runs right there. As it was, 2 runs come in, and it's 5-0 in favor of Cincinnati. Now we go to the bottom of the 6th. I need to tally up the totals for Tiant and Burton. Burton came in, pitched a third of an inning. No, Burton, where did Burton go? Yeah, he pitched, let's see, 2/3 of an inning for Burton. And he gave up a hit. That was it. No runs. No walks, no strikeouts for Burton. Tiant is going to give up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 hits for Tiant. 5 runs, 4 earned. He struck out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got him for 7 strikeouts. Walks 1, 2, 3. I've got him for 3 walks. So that's what Tiant did. 5+ innings, 5+ innings pitched, 7 hits, 5 runs, 4 earned, because that error on Burton was an unearned run. 3 walks and 7 strikeouts. Burton went 2/3 of an inning. He got the first 2 outs on ground outs, then the 1 base error and the single. But despite the walk issue by Willoughby, they got out Perez, so the run didn't score against him. And we're at 5-0 game into the bottom of the 6th. So Don Gullett against Dewey Evans. That's a 4-4-5. 4-4-5 asks, is the pitcher a workman? No, he's a semi-ace. He's not a workman. Is the batter patient? Evans is not patient or eager. He's neither one. He's neutral. So it will not be a walk. Instead, he will ground it out to first. So he grounds it to Perez for an easy out. 1 down. And that brings up it brings up Denny Doyle. 1-2-3, asking about Flash and Fresh. He doesn't get to the sire die, so he's neither one. So it won't be a strikeout. Instead, he just gets a ground out to short. So he still gets the out. He just doesn't get the strikeout. So 2 quick outs, and here's Yastrzemski, and Gullett has been in charge the whole game. He's kept the Red Sox off balance the entire game. 2-4-6. Does he have control? He's got semi-control. The dot comes up as a dot this time. So it does activate that quality of control, and he does get the control quality. So it's a ground out right back to Don Gullett for an easy 1-2-3 inning. 1-2-3 inning is in the books. We go to the 7th. And now Willoughby, as a relief pitcher, will be starting his next inning of work. So even though he only faced 2 batters in the previous inning, he reversed the semi-freshness now, not full freshness. If I want somebody fully fresh, I got to bring in a new pitcher. But we'll stick with Willoughby facing Foster. 2-4-6. That's asking about control. Same role we just had on the last out. Semi-control, but this time the dot's not there. So since the dot's not there, it's like that control's not there. So we skip it. So it won't be a ground out to the pitcher. We check the next batter. Is he eager or sad sack? Foster is semi-eager. We got to re-roll the decider die because it's already been used. We got to roll it again here for Foster to see if he's eager. He is not eager. So he's not eager and he's not a sad sack. So he's going to draw a walk. And it says active runner would steal, but he's stoic, which means he rarely steals bases. So he'll stay at first base with 1 out for Dave Concepcion. 3-3-5. 3-3-5. Is the pitcher wild? No, he's got semi-control. Is the batter a sad sack? Concepcion is not a sad sack. He's actually a semi-hero. So he will single to right field and steal a base unless he's stoic. He is not stoic, so he will single to right field. And on a lead die of 3, that moves the base runner 2 bases, so Foster will get third base, which opens up second base for Concepcion to steal. So he steals second base. So runners are at second and third now with nobody out. And here comes Griffey, followed by Geronimo. And it looks like they're going to make a move to the bullpen again, this time for Roger Moret, a lefty, the other lefty that they have in their bullpen, Roger Moret. So Willoughby is gone. They tried to push, but it didn't work. So here comes Roger Moret. He is on, and he will get the ace quality because he's coming in the middle of an inning. So Moret will gain the ace quality. Let's see. Willoughby ends up going just a third of an inning, walking 2 and giving up a hit. And he's responsible for 2 of the runners on base. So Moret's going to try to get out of it against Ken Griffey. 3-6-6. He's not a pinch hitter. Pitcher's blank. He's not a pinch hitter, so he flies to center. And on a lead die of 3, that would be a sacrifice fly had a runner been on. Oh, it is on third. So he is. I take it back. Foster is at third base. So on the lead die of 3, stoic runner on third base holds on flyouts. Other runners score. So since Foster, if you look at Foster, he's actually, well, he is semi-stoic. So I take it back. We got to see if he's stoic or not. Almost assume something that wasn't there. So he is semi-stoic. If we roll a dot, the stoic quality will activate, and that means he won't score. And that's exactly what happens. So Foster's got to hold because he was stoic. This particular at bat, he's stoic, so he will hold. The flyout went to center field. So Fred Lynn gets it back in quickly. And that brings up Geronimo. Moret no longer an ace, so we keep going. Yes, Ben, I've often broken into song on the Kool and the Gang She's Fresh quite a bit. Not on camera, obviously, but on my own. All right, here's Cesar Geronimo. Infield looking for the double play. 3-5-6, the left-right split play comes on the very first time of the game. 3-5-6, ask if they are the same. They are. Moret is a lefty pitcher. Geronimo is a lefty batter. So we get a strikeout. And it explains it here with this little symbol after the strikeout. It says pitcher throws with same arm that batter bats with. So same, basically. So that's what I call my Circle K strikeout, when they get a left-right split strikeout, because it happens a few times. I like to keep track of how often the left-right split even comes into play. But there it did. And so now with 2 outs, Don Gullett's going to bat against Moret. 1-2-5. Asking, is Moret a struggler? No, he's not a struggler. Is the batter patient? Gullett is eager, not patient. So he will ground to third unless he's a whiffer. There's a thumb again, so he's going to strike out, actually. So Moret comes in and does the job. Keeps anything from getting worse. So no runs will score in this one. So Willoughby gets off with no runs allowed. So now we're at the 7th inning stretch. I don't have a ukulele, so we won't be doing a Steve Tower homage of a ukulele. So I'm going to save your eardrums and skip all that. And we'll move on to Gullett now. Since Gullett is pitching a shutout, he retains semi-freshness. If he had given up a run, he would lose all freshness. But since he's got goose eggs on the board, he keeps semi-freshness all the way to the 9th inning. He's facing Fisk. Whoa, we got hop and die. Even these little dice hop. How about that? We get a 1-3-3. 1-3-3 is blank for the pitcher. Is the batter a slugger? Carlton Fisk is a slugger, so he just cracked a home run to center field. And the Red Sox are on the board, and now Gullett has lost all freshness with that home run allowed. So he is no longer fresh. First home run of the game, it belongs to Carlton Fisk. And again, we look at it, 1-3-3 was blank for the pitcher. It asks, is the batter a slugger? He is a slugger, so it's a home run. Interestingly enough, had he been a home run king, he would not have hit a home run. Only the slugger will get the home run. There's other places where home run kings get specific home runs, but not here. All right, here's Freddie Lynn. So he's no longer fresh. We'll keep an eye on that. 2-4-6. Does he have the control quality? Semi-control. Dot gives it to him, so it's a ground out back to the pitcher. And I'm trying to, I think I can kind of sense myself speeding up a little bit just to get through this game, because I'm hopefully, with playing this out like this, you're seeing how the game operates without getting bogged down. 1-2-3, flash and fresh. Well, he does not have the freshness quality anymore, so he will not get the strikeout, but he will get a ground out to short. So that'll be 2 away for Rick Burleson. It's now 5-1 Cincinnati. 2-2-6. 2-2-6 asks, is the batter hit by a pitch? And the way you tell is if this is a dot or not. Since that is a blank, it says here down at the bottom, desired die determines if batter hit by pitch. Okay, so he was not hit by the pitch, so we move on. Is he the cleanup batter? No, he bats 7th in the lineup, not 4th. So he's not the cleanup batter. So he will fly to left unless he's a whiffer. Got that little thumb again. Burleson has a good eye. He doesn't strike out much at all, so he will fly to left to end the inning. But the Red Sox get on the board at least. And at the end of 7, it is 5-1 in favor of Cincinnati. All right. Moret now will be semi-fresh because he's in his 2nd inning of work. And he's going to be facing top of the order, Rose, Morgan, and Bench. 1-2-6. Is he fresh? No, because we're in semi-fresh mode and the dot didn't give it to him. So he is no longer he's no longer fresh, so it won't be a line out to second. Is Rose a sad sack? No, he's not. He will not strike out. So therefore, he's going to get a single past second base. So since Moret was not fresh, Rose connects for a single, and that will take us to the right now chart for the next at bat with Morgan. Now, Moret just gave it that hit, so he is completely cold. And Morgan got a hit his last time up, so he is completely hot. However, Daryl Johnson says, well, hold the phone. Let me see if there's something I can do about that. So he's going to come out and give a one-on-one pep talk to Roger Moret. and it's going to turn him from cold to neutral. So at least he won't be hot, but at least he'll be neutral. He will not be, you know, considered cold. He will be neutral. So it's called a one-on-one pep talk. So we're going to mark that off as being used as a second strategy card. One-on-one pep talk has been marked off. So that means Moret is not cold. He is neutral. Morgan is hot, and Moret is neutral. See if that move pays off. 1-6. Hot pitcher. No, he's not a hot pitcher. He's neutral. If he was hot, he'd full batter, swinging an outside pitch. Otherwise, batter lines a clean single past second base. So clean single for Morgan, and on a lead die of 1, it's a 1-base advancement for Rose. So first and second, nobody out. Red Sox will go back to the bullpen for another right-hander, and they'll bring on a right-handed pitcher. And actually, there will be a double switch here because the pitcher spot is scheduled to bat second next inning. So who do they want to take out, if anybody? Well, they might just go with the pitcher and say forget about it. Let's see here. Griffin, Miller, Beniquez. Boy, tough call who you take out here. Tough call whatsoever. I think, you know what? They're just going to have a guy pitch. They're not going to do a double switch. I take it back. We're not going to double switch. They're going to bring in Diego Segui, and he's going to try to get out of the mess. How about that? He will gain the ace quality for this first at bat. It does not erase his poor workman quality, but at least it gives him a boost of a ace quality. Whoa, triple sixes. If you're thinking APA, you know what I'm talking about here. Triple sixes. Is he an ace? Yes, he is. So had we not brought in another pitcher, had we left in Mr. Moret, this would have been a probable home run. But since he's an ace this at bat, the ace makes it a fly out to right field instead of a glove check, which is most likely a home run. So how about that? Fly out to right field because he gets the ace quality. So Daryl Johnson pulled the right trigger there and made that move and saved some runs. Here is Tony Perez. Ace pitchers can cover up for a lot of sins, put it that way. Here's Perez, 3-4-5. Is he an iron catcher? No. Fisk is neutral. Does the batter have a good eye? Perez does not have a good eye. So he will strike out. That's in blue. So Perez strikes out. That means Segui is a hot pitcher. And Foster walked his last time. So that means he is neutral on his batting. So we got a hot pitcher against a neutral batter. And we get a 23 on the right now chart. 23. Cold pitcher. No, he's a hot pitcher. If he was cold, he would second guess the catcher, deliver a hesitant pitch, and the batter would line a single. Otherwise, it's a fly out to center field. And that's going to end the inning. So Segui gets out of the mess, and Moret doesn't give up anything. Moret's going to go 1 inning, 1+, because he went to the next inning. Strike out 2. Give up 2 hits, but no runs. And now we go to the bottom of the 8th, with the score still 5-1. Now we got Cooper and then a pinch hitter for Segui. So we'll figure out who the Red Sox want to go to pinch hit. The Reds are going to keep Gullett in there, or do they? Captain Hook might want to pull him. Let's see. They got They're going to bring in Will McEnany. So Will McEnany will come in and pitch now for the Reds. Another lefty. He will not gain the ace quality because he's coming in to start the inning. He's already a semi-ace, though. But Will McEnany will come in, and their plan is to use Will McEnany in the 8th and use Eastwick in the 9th. Most likely would be the moves to make. So we're going to have Cooper lead off, but then we need a pinch hitter. and the pinch hitter will end up being Juan Beniquez. So Beniquez will pinch hit for Segui, and then Dick Drago will come in and pitch the ninth for the Red Sox. So Beniquez will pinch hit, but first Cooper's got to hit. So it'll be Cooper, Beniquez, and Evans against Will McEnany. And again, McEnany does not gain any special treatment because he's coming in to start the inning. It used to be that you got that when he came in, period, but they revised the rules to say you only get that boost when it's the middle of an inning. This is starting the inning. So Cooper, 2-2-3 against McEnany. 2-2-3. McEnany's not wild. Is Cooper a slugger or utility? He is a slugger. So since he's a slugger, he will line out to short. He would strike out if he's a whiffer. He's not a whiffer. So he lines out to short, and that's one away. And now Beniquez, your pinch hitter. Beniquez is a hero, which means he hits around 280, 290, something like that. Between 280 and 300, I think, somewhere in that neighborhood. So he'll pinch hit 3-4-4. 3-4-4. Is the pitcher a prospect? McEnany is a semi-prospect, but the dot says not this time. So when there's no dot, you just wipe it away like it never happened. So he's not a prospect. We don't get a fence check. It asks, is the batter patient? Beniquez is not patient, so he will pop it out to second base. And that's out number 2. So Beniquez fails in the pinch, and here's Dwight Evans. 2-3-5 for Evans. Well, first of all, for McEnany, he's not wild. Is Evans eager? He is not eager. He's going to ground to second unless there's an hourglass here. If he's patient, he would walk, but he's not patient. So it's just a ground out to second. And McEnany pitches a 1-2-3 8th inning, giving up nothing. And they will set that up for Eastwick in the 9th. So we go to the 9th, 5-1, still the score. And coming in for the Red Sox is Dick Drago. He will come in and face Concepcion, Griffey, and Geronimo, and a pinch hitter for McEnany should anybody reach. So Concepcion steps to the plate against Drago. Again, he does not get the ace quality because he's starting the inning. 2-3-4. Are there runners on base? No, there are not. So it's not plate drama. Is the batter hot? Well, Concepcion, his last time up, got a single. So yes, he is hot. That passes. He is a hot batter, so we got a fence check. A fence is a micro chart. That means a power hitter might hit a home run. So we go to the fence chart. Concepcion is a semi-scrapper, so we have to find out whether or not he's a scrapper. The dot says he's a scrapper, so he's a scrapper, which means we're in this first column. He cannot hit a home run, but he can hit up to a triple if you get a 6. The number is a 5. He gets a double. So Concepcion with a double. But had he been anything other than a scrapper, he would have got a triple. And had he been a home run king or a slugger, he would have hit a home run. But in this case, it's a leadoff double for Concepcion. Leadoff double. And that will bring up Ken Griffey. 1-3-5. That's the unusual play result. First one we've gotten all game. And this is where the colors come into play. If you get, well, first I'll show in the book. 1-3-5 is blank for the pitcher, blank for the hitter. It says unusual result. So we go to the back of the book under unusual results. And it says here, a black 1, which is what we have, goes to the ballpark qualities. A blue 1 would go to the umpires, and a red 1 would go other places. But we're going to the ballpark. So we pull out Fenway Park and look at what their rating is. Griffey is a lefty hitter, so it plays normal. Ballpark plays normal. Would play small if a righty was up there. It's a normal situation. We get a 1-3. Small ballpark. If it was a foul ball into the bleachers, batter still at bat. Otherwise, first baseman makes the catch of a towering foul out. So since the ballpark was not small, the foul territory was extended enough where the first baseman could make the catch. And it's just a foul out as Mr. Cecil Cooper had room to make the play. On a small ballpark, that wouldn't happen. So there's one away, and that brings up Geronimo. Move Fenway Park out of the way now. 2-3-5. 2-3-5. 2-3-5. Is the pitcher wild? No, he's doesn't have any quality as far as control goes. Is the batter eager? He is not eager. So he's going to ground to second. And again, that hourglass, if he's patient, which he's not. So it's a ground ball to second. That will get the runner to third base. So Concepcion takes third with 2 outs. And now we need a pinch hitter for Will McEnany. Look at the Reds bench and try to find a good left-handed hitter. And I think the best one they can find is Dan Dreesen. So Dan Dreesen will get the call to pinch hit for McEnany. And that'll set it up for Eastwick in the 9th. So Drago facing Dan Dreesen. Now, if Dreesen gets the 3-6-6 roll, if we roll a 3-6-6, he is a pinch hitter. He would get a hit for that. So that's very rare. So we get a 2-3-5. I think we just had that one. 2-3-5. He's not wild. Is the batter eager? He's not eager. So he will ground to second unless he's patient. He is semi-patient. The dot gives it to him. So that hourglass comes into play, and it says if he's patient, he draws a walk. So in this case, Dreesen will draw the pinch hit walk because he was patient. He was semi-patient, and the dot said in this at bat, you are patient. So runners on the corners, 2 outs for Pete Rose. Whoa, we got hop and dice. Let's re-roll that. Boy, getting this 3-4-5 all the time here. What's going on with that? Oh, that was 2-4-5. This is 3-4-5. Blank is the catcher's not iron. Does the batter have a good eye? Rose has a good eye, semi-good eye. The dot says he does. So it's check swing ball. So he will not strike out because he has a good eye. It's check swing ball, and it's in orange. Anytime you get an orange result, you go to the umpire chart. So we're going to the umpires, and that's based on base running situations. And the runner situation is runners at first and third. So we're going to the umpire chart in this section, first and third. It may call for any umpire, but right now the third base umpire is Stello. The first base umpire is Colosi. So we'll see if either one of those come into play. It's a 2-die roll with the decider die because some of the umpires have marginal qualities too. All right, so 2-2. So 2-2 says respected umpire at third. So we're looking strictly at Dick Stello. Dick Stello's qualities are that he's strict and semi-questionable. So you don't see the word respected there. So that means this is a no. If he was respected, a ball sliced down the baseline ruled foul. Other umpires rule fair ball, double, and both runners score. So how about that? Because he was not respected, he missed that call. That should have been a foul ball, and he missed it. So Pete Rose gets credit for a double down the line, opposite field, down the left field line, and that's going to score Concepcion from third and Dreesen all the way from first. It is a 2-run double from Pete Rose because of Dick Stello. So Red Sox fans can blame Dick Stello for not being strict because that's cost them 2 runs. It is now 7-1, and that's where the umpires can come into play. It took almost till the game was over for them to do it, but they did it. And now that brings up, had Art France been at third base, that would have been a foul ball, but because he's respected. But Art France was at home plate, not at third base, so he doesn't get that quality. All right, here's Morgan. 4-4-6. Let's see. Is the pitcher a star? Rego is not a star. Is the batter sad sack, utility, or patient? He is patient. Joe Morgan is patient. So he's so patient that he took a called strike 3. So Morgan is out to end the inning. But 2 runs come in. So Drago is going to go 1 inning. And let's see here. He's going to give up a couple of runs on 2 hits to go along with a walk and a strikeout. So we go to the bottom of the 9th. It's not a save situation, but just because I already had him lined up, we're going to bring in Raleigh. You could bring in Pedro Borbon. In fact, we will bring in Pedro Borbon. Why not? We're going to bring in Pedro Borbon instead. He'll be facing Doyle, Yastrzemski, and Fisk. He is a star with that double control. So that would mean if we get any result that says control, he actually gets 2 outs out of that. So that's a huge quality to have, double control. All right, here is Denny Doyle. 145. 145. Ask, is he a struggler? No, he's not a struggler. He's a star. So it's going to be a ground out to first base because he's a left-handed hitter. One away, and that's going to send up Yastrzemski. 3-3-4. Asking, is he an ace or a star? He is a star, so that's going to be a pop out to first base. It would have probably been a single, but since he's at least a star, ace or star, it's a pop out to first. He is a star. So pop out to Perez. That's 2 down. And a star being he has a low enough ERA to qualify. So Fisk is your last at bat, unless he does something. 2-5-6. He's not a struggler. Is a batter champion or patient? Fisk is a semi-champion, but the dot doesn't give it to him. So it's like it never happened. And we got an infield drama. So we got infield drama for the potential last play. And in the infield, second and short are gold, third and first are neutral. We get a 45 on the infield drama. Shortstop iron, no. Concepcion's gold. So he's going to bobble the ball but make the play, and that's the ball game. Your ball game is over. Cincinnati wins it by the score of 7-1. Warbone goes an inning and gives up nothing. I didn't do the results for Gullett through 7. I need to do his results. See how many hits he gave up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits and a run. And he walked 1. That's it, just 1 walk. Did give up the home run. And then strikeouts, 1, 2, just 2 strikeouts. All right, so total for the Reds, 7 runs, and I've got them for 13 hits, 7 runs and 13 hits. I believe the only error in the game was on Jim Burton of Boston. I don't think Cincinnati had any errors. Doesn't look that way. Boston had a total of 5 hits. So a dominating performance by the Cincinnati Reds. They defeat the Boston Red Sox by the score of 7-1. 7 runs, 13 hits, and no errors for Cincinnati. 1 run, 5 hits, and 1 error for Boston. Losing pitcher was Louis Tiant. The winner is Gullett. There is no save because of the score being what it was. But hopefully you see it in action. And I went through the prelims before we started. And hopefully you can now see this game in action and see where some of those qualities are razor thin between being a dot and not a dot. And this little joker here can determine a lot of things, because you got a lot of players that aren't cut and dry. They're halfway here, halfway there. And this little turkey right here, wonderful invention. That can certainly cover a whole lot of stuff. So, like I said, I didn't think I was going to do this live. I'd planned to do this as a recording, and probably should have done it with more notes and everything than off the cuff. But sometimes I think off the cuff gives you a more truer meaning of what I mean. It's more, more. I'm not prepared in what I'm saying. I'm just saying it out of the blue, which, generally speaking, is your more truthful feelings about things. So that's my take on History Maker Baseball. And I'll show you some other things that I like to do with History Maker Baseball. Like I said, you can use the player. They have the actual stadium pictures. I've already shown this earlier, but Al Wilson on his Google Drive has the actual stadium pictures, so you can use the actual stadiums in place of the generic cover sheet. And then also, you can create your own players, which is very easy to do. There is, like I said, an Excel template on the Facebook page. I think it's actually, might even be in Al Wilson's Google Drive too. I'm not 100% sure. So I'm thinking it is. I know it's out there somewhere in the History Maker Baseball world. So let me move this out of the way, and I'll show you something real quick. Now, they had a sale in the Black Friday. It's called 777, where you don't know what you're getting. It's a PDF, and it could be you could get anything on that. So what I did is I downloaded the 1981. Well, one of the files in that 777 zip drive was a 1981 season, the card set for the 1981 season. So it came to me as a PDF, and since I have a PDF editor, I can adjust things. So I was able to make Houston Astro cards and then also make Los Angeles Dodger cards. Very easy to do in the Excel format. And you just go get the pictures and drop them in on the PDF editor. I've already done a video on how to do that earlier, so you can go back and check that out. But I always thought that was kind of neat. So I thought about playing the opening day game between the Astros and the Dodgers. It was Fernando Valenzuela's. That's his card for the 1981 season. Of course, the card that you get from Play looks more like this, but I jazzed it up with the colors, the logo, and the uniform number. Did all that in the PDF version. So that's something you can do with have a little fun with it. Create your own teams, make up your own logos, put your own things, your own stamp on it, and have a lot of fun. If you have a PDF editor, which I have, which was free, and you know me, if it's free, it's for me, and I'll take 3. And again, that's another stadium you can get from the website, from the Google Drive, Al Wilson's Google Drive. And if you really want to see, I'm going to tell you right now, if you really want to see a good video on History Maker Baseball and why it's such a good game, there's a video out there that's 100 times better than what I just put out. And I will tell you where it is, if I can find it. Let me turn this light out real quick. Okay, whoops. Oh, come on, get out of here. Al Wilson did a video. Oh, well, it shows up here. Boy, I can't get the glare off of here. I got to do it like this to get the glare off of here. I think, there we go. Hands On, his channel, Hands On History Maker Baseball. You just search by that. This is a 1-hour video where he goes step by step, probably 10 times more detail than I just did, and explains the components, explains everything, and actually plays through a game as well. So I would highly recommend you do that. Check out Al Wilson's channel. But if you just type in the Google, in the Facebook search, or not Facebook, in the YouTube search, Hands On History Maker Baseball, you will. It's an excellent video. Another video I'd check out as well, if you so choose, is this one by. Hold on here. Where'd it go here? Bob's Tabletop Sports. It's a History Maker tutorial. And I think on here it just says History Maker Baseball tutorial, and this one comes up. It's called Kick the Sky here, but it's Bob's Tabletop Sports, and he does an excellent video as well. Much more professional presentation than what the stuff I just did. But those are 2 excellent videos that I would go with. And if you want a video on the fictional stuff and how good the fictional stuff is, check out anything by After Further Review by Steve Tower. You can't get any better than that. I mean, that's top of the line in my opinion. Let me see here. Let's go see if I can find his channel here real quick. Where are you, Steve? There he is. Right here, he takes History Maker Baseball under the hood. So it is After Further Review with Steve Tower, Under the Hood with History Maker. Just do that, and you'll be set. Put it that way. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Like I said, the fictional league. I've got them all separated and ready to go. I've got a schedule in mind that I want to do, and I've also input all the players into Stratomatic Computer so I can score the game as I play it. And of course, the team I'm going to be playing is team number 5 of this set. I'm going to play out their season, their 54-game season, and let the universal results do the rest. But it is the Ticonderoga Stooges. They are my team from Ticonderoga, New York. And there is Just Say Mo. And they're going to be playing at the City Suburban Sports Dome because it gets cold up there in Ticonderoga. So they're going to play indoors. And the top guy that they have is Winston Numbers. And you can see the cards there for the fictional set. They have all the same qualities. I mean, this guy's loaded. He's a semi-champion, which means he's a high average hitter. He's a semi-slugger and semi-home run king, so he's got the power. He does strike out somewhat, and he doesn't walk much because he's eager, but he's double active, which means if he steals one base, he steals 2 bases. Think of Vince Coleman or Ricky Anderson. That's kind of what he's got here. He's also a gold outfielder, and he hits a lot of triples. He's got that Sigma rating that changes a double to a triple right there. And he's a semi-icon, so he's so some of these names, I'm not sure how Keith does it. I think he has a name generator or something, but to come up with all these names, like this one is Cash Dumansil. I got to learn all these players. Steve Ferrone, Jay Tolos, Easton Bear. I wonder if he's related to Max Bear, who played Jethro on the Beverly Hillbillies. Mark Randazzo, Miguel Ruelas. Let's see here. L.J. Crone and George Shoemake. And Greg Dollywall and Cam Banda. And you notice they all have little, I don't know if you can see it on here, they all have little numbers here. Say 5, team 5. But what I did, each player only comes with 24 teams or 24 players to a team. So I went to the free agency and pulled out this guy for my free agent to add to the roster. And if you can see here, he's got a number 0 on there. So that means he's a free agent. So Jake Van Natter is going to be the free agent. So each team's going to have 25 players, 13 pitchers, and 12 batters. But the Ticonderoga Stooges, and their first game, they're going to hit the road on the first game. They don't even get to play at home. You got to play on the road in the first game. It's just the way the schedule worked out. They're going to be playing team number 10, the Macon Waves. They're going to travel down to Macon, Georgia for the Macon Waves. They're going to play the Macon Waves, and that's going to be at Dot Cola Park. They'll be playing that one. And Macon has the 2-way player, Hippolito Amato. So he's not only a pitcher, but he's also a very good hitter. So I guess this is their Shohei Ohtani version here. But the way these cards are done, pitchers do not have hitting qualities. So I'm going to have to play the DH in this league. I don't have any option because there's no pitcher qualities to hit. So Amato, if I make the rule, I guess I can do the Ohtani rule and have him pitch. And if he comes out, he can still be the DH. So I guess maybe I'll do that. I don't know. Or I'll make them decide whether they want him to pitch or to hit, one or the other. But that is the first game that'll be played in my season. It'll be a 3-game series. I'm sorry, a 2-game series. They're going to play 2 games against everybody, I think. Well, actually, what they're doing is, I think what I'm going to have them do is play 3 games against their own division and 2 against the others. I'm not sure. I might do a 44-game schedule. Might be a little easier. Just play the other 11 teams 4 times, 2 at home, 2 on the road. So I think that's what we'll do to keep it simple. So the first 2 games are going to be in Macon, Georgia to face the Macon Waves, and that'll be on the channel sometime next week. But I did want to put this out first just to give my overview of History Maker Baseball, why I enjoy it. Several reasons. Maybe I can elaborate a little more. But definitely the umpires. This is the only game I can think of. I don't know of any other game that incorporates umpires, at least not to this level of detail. So you get your umpires. That's one part that's really, really fantastic about it. You get your umpires. You also get things that factor in like chemistry and experience. So the veteran players get the advantage over the rookies. Some people think that's not important, but I kind of like it. And again, remember, this game is not competing with Stratomatic or APA or anything like that for a blow-by-blow to try to recreate a season. You're starting from opening day and making your own history. Hence, that's why it's called History Maker Baseball, because you're trying to make your own history. So I hope I did this game justice. Hope you guys enjoyed this run through. If you came in late, go back and rewind it, and I do my uh, what I the inner working of History Maker Baseball and how the players are factored and all that kind of stuff, and why they're a certain way that they are. So if you want to check that out, you can always go back and watch it from the beginning. For those that are watching it after the fact, hope you were able to sit through all this 2.5 hour video. I figured it would be a long video. Figured it would be. So we've gone 2.5 hours, and I'm not sure anybody else can handle me for 2.5 hours. It might be more than most people can take, but I went the whole 2.5 hours and didn't do a single pun. I've gotten a whole lot better about that. I used to be back in the day. I used to do a lot of puns that drove people crazy, but now I've kind of toned things down a bit. So, like I said, I hope you all enjoyed that. And if you haven't tried History Maker Baseball, I would certainly look into it. There is right now no computer version, but the way other games are going, like Payoff Pitch, you never know. There could be some kind of thing set up where you could put it in a computer. Maybe somebody can homebrew it to set it up in a computer to play the game on the computer, but I'm not sure if they would ever do that. But you never know the way things go. So, but I do like it. I do like the fact. I think this game it plays major league teams very well. If you go back and look at old videos I played the entire 1987 Atlanta Braves season, and the stats came out pretty good. But to me, the wheelhouse for this game is fictional. I think it's designed to tell the story of a fictional set. You could take these fictional players. I know nothing about any of them, but by the time I'm done, I'm going to know what they like in their coffee. That's how well I'm going to try to get to know these players. So it's going to be a time to try to get to know these guys, and in my mind's eye, I'm picturing these players, what they might look like, what their build might be, what their personality might be. So it's just it's a sandbox. You're limited only by your imagination. It's like a big giant sandbox is a good way to explain it, I guess. So that's my spiel for History Maker Baseball, why I like it, why it does the things it does, and what I like about the way the things it does. The only thing, I'm a big lefty righty guy. So the fact that it only has one spot for a lefty righty is a little bit disappointing. But again, that's because it's this kind of game. It's not a stat based game like Stratomatic. It's this game. So I can live with it. And I'm still would manage by bringing in a lefty. I'd play it like if it really mattered on every at bat. So, like I said, it's for your own universe. You make it the way you want to make it. So I am fully on board with what Steve Tower said, that this is a great game, particularly the fictional sets. I was not a fictional player a while back. I used to think it was ridiculous. Why would I want to play somebody that doesn't exist? But I've drank the Kool-Aid, and I'm all for it now, and really enjoy it. So I hope that, and unfortunately for the Red Sox, I never got to use Bob Heist to get that perk, but oh well, that's the way it goes. But that's one of the things I like about the game too, is you get the pre-game checks. You don't, when you pull out Strat or Appa or one of these other games, you go straight to start playing. This is the only game I know of that I can think of where you do some pre-game checks to see what the mood is, how the manager's doing. Is there a media problem? Is somebody potentially injured? You get the rest rolls in Stratomatic. That's the closest thing I can think of, but not to the detail that this is. But it keeps certain things simple, like base running. You don't have to worry about doing calculations like inside pitch. You have to do it got to the point where RJL had to do a special chart to get the base running down. This, you just look in the blue box and it tells you where you go. And if you don't know, the boards will tell you where, what to get the extra base for and whatnot. So yeah, like I said, it's a storytelling thing. So if you don't like storytelling games, you won't like this game. But if you like a game that tells a story, and the narrative can go from one direction to the other, mid-season you can get a team red hot, and all of a sudden they have an issue that comes up, and it spoils the chemistry of the team, and they go on a losing streak. I mean, the fans are after them. Who knows what? All that can happen. So, um, yeah, I'm kind of I'm out of ideas on what to say. I kind of covered everything I can think of. I'm sure I missed something. I'll probably go back and say, man, it was a 2.5 hour video and I still missed stuff, which can happen. I mean, the dice are real small, so I prefer bigger dice for the dice tray, but that's okay. I could use 3 regular sized die, but then that's going to dwarf the decider die. So, but this is the magic bullet to me that drives everything, because so many of the players don't have solid qualities. They've got these dots where they're in between one quality or the other. So to me, that's huge. That's definitely huge. So I think I'll end it at that. So unless anybody has anything in they're in the chat right now. I see there's like a few of you still around after all this time. And if you're still here and you have a question in particular, let me know. I'll wait around about a minute or so and see if anybody has a question. If not, you can leave a question in the comments and I will certainly get back to you. If you want to see how to create your own players and what the process is, I'll take you back to the video that I did. So let me find my videos. I don't have it on a playlist, so I'm going to have to find it from somewhere. I'll probably have to search for it. That's bad. You can't even find your own video. That's pretty bad. Okay, here we go. I think. Yeah, here we go. This is the one I did. It's called How to Make History Maker Baseball Cards Step by Step. So that's what I did 2 months ago. If you want to see a video on how to do it, there it is right there. How to create History Maker baseball cards step by step. Just search for that in the YouTube search engine. It'll come right up, and I take you through a whole rigmarole about how I get the ratings guide out, how I go to Excel, fill out the stats, how I print that Excel to a PDF, go into my PDF editor, and that allows me to add in logos and the numbers. And you can see the whole routine there if you're interested in such a thing. But again, creating the players is one of the drawing cards for me in this game, because if there's a season out there that one of these game companies does not have, you can create your own team, your own season if you want to go through that trouble. I started creating a 1908 season, but the cards were really looking weird because there's so many guys from 1908 that don't strike out. They're low power. So you're getting definitely an interesting brand. And I may put a game out on that just to play it for dead ball people like Beatles Eternally. But you could create whatever you want. Or like if you buy a season set from Play, they're not going to card everybody, but I can card the missing players on my own. Imagine if I could do that for Stratomatic. If I had a way to go in and make my own Stratomatic cards to fill in the gaps for the guys that are missing, that would be wonderful. But, so that's just another reason why I like this game so much. And of course, the Play community, Keith Avalone and company at play.com, if they aren't the best customer service, they're right up there with it. And the Facebook community and everything else. I haven't done it in a long time, but I've got on my Facebook Instant Messenger, I have chatted with Keith before, right on Facebook Messenger. So to have that kind of access to somebody, I may not do it now because it's been so long since I've done it, but Facebook, they'll answer right away. Send them an email, they'll answer right away. If you have a problem with one of your orders, they'll take care of it. They'll probably error in your favor, whether it was their mistake or not. They're very, very good with that. And they're always come with something new. I mean, they just came up with a horse racing game, which I didn't think. I was like, a horse racing game, really? But I tell you what, people are very excited about playing it. They're all into it. They did a fishing game, they did a truck racing game or truck driving game. Of course, you got the standard football, hockey, golf, basketball, all sorts of things. And they all have the components that you could have in fictional if you wanted. So I'm about worn out now. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes that we've gone. I think that's more than enough. And I think I've overstay my welcome most likely. So um, good thing I'm off on Sundays and don't play anything on Sundays. So I'm going to finish it up from here. Uh, my next time I'm going to be online is back to my mornings at 9 o'clock Eastern for my Stratomatic 1987 replay. I'll be back doing that, but I'm going to rest up the rest of the night and rest up tomorrow and spend time with family and just kind of take a mental break from gaming, and then come back Monday morning all ready to go. So again, I do appreciate everybody that's here and everybody that's watching later. Uh, I don't usually ask for likes, but if you would like the video, that will help get this out to other people. I understand by the algorithm of YouTube. I don't understand it, but I've heard people say it does. So if that's the case, I want to get this out to other people, as many people. I want it to show up on their feeds as much as possible so they can be exposed to this. I know we're in a very small niche, and it's only going to show up at so many different places, but apparently if the way they do their algorithm, if there's more likes on there, that can get it out more to where it's going to go. If you like the content, not only this but the Stratomatic or whatever else, consider subscribing. That would be wonderful. If there's a game I haven't played in a while that you want to see, again, let me know and I'll try to get it on a video, whether it's payoff pitch or season ticket or replay baseball or anything like that. I'll try to do it if I possibly can. Right now, my main focus is going to be on two games, Stratomatic and History Maker Baseball. The daytime is going to be Stratomatic 1987 American League, where I'm playing a full replay every single game in the American League. And in my nighttime, I'm going to focus on the History Maker Baseball, Baseball America fictional set and try to get those 44 games knocked out in a reasonable time. And then I'm going to use the universal chart to sim the other games, per se, to get a final score. Not going to get stats or anything, but a final score. So if nobody else has anything else for me, I'll go ahead and bid you all adieu. Again, the final score in this one, Cincinnati crushes the Red Sox 7-1 here in Game 1 of the World Series as they rewrite history, as Don Gullett goes 7 solid innings, only 5 hits and a run. His only blemish was the home run by Carlton Fisk in the top of the 7th. That was the only thing he gave up that was of any substance. And for the Reds offensively, the player of the game, probably Concepcion. He had 2 singles and a double, as well as walking. So he reached base 4 out of 5 times. You could also Pete Rose, 2 doubles and a single. So there's a lot of candidates there. Morgan, a double, 2 singles and a walk with the stolen base. So there's lots of guys you could have given it to, I suppose. But the only thing I didn't go through on the game day check was doing holding cold and hot hitters. But since we hadn't played a game yet, it didn't make any sense to do that. So, but the game day at the beginning, that's one of the great things there. And I just love the fact that umpires factor into the game as well. We saw it on this one play. Dick Stello turned a foul ball into a 2-run double by his not being respected, by him not having a good viewing of that foul ball down the line. He ruled it as a fair ball when it was really foul, and he just missed it. So now, granted, in the World Series, a left fielder umpire would have caught that, but we're not playing. This game doesn't incorporate that in there. So anyway, I do appreciate everybody out there, not only here, but watching later, or if you're not watching at all. If you watch my other stuff, that's awesome. I appreciate it. Without anybody watching, it'd be pointless for me to go out here and do it myself. I mean, I probably would, but it wouldn't be very much fun, put it that way. It used to be when I first started, I would only do recorded videos, never do anything live. But now it's the point now where I only want to do things live because there's so much work to record and upload. It takes so long to upload. It's just a pain in the tush, to be honest with you. And I like the the back and forth. So anyway, 2 hours and almost 45 minutes. I can't handle anymore, and I know you guys can't handle me anymore. So we're going to go ahead and call it an afternoon. Again, thank you for sticking through all this and watching this. Hope you get a better, maybe a different appreciation for History Maker Baseball if you didn't have one already. like I said, it's well worth, even if you don't buy it, it's well worth watching other guys play it, particularly Steve Tower. He's very, very good at it with his fictional sets. So I will try to be decent at it when I do my fictional sets. So until next time, enjoy playing whatever game you choose to play, however you choose to play it, and I will see you all down the road. Take care, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend.